Right, guys, appreciate you guys joining in. Appreciate you guys listening. We're back for another space. Do retweet, reshare the space. Let everybody know we're live. Let's try and get as many people in here as possible. Anyone who quote tweets the space, we will retweet their quote tweets. Huge news coming out. Well, it is bigger than we probably thought. We did leave the space when it was kind of a lot. Well, basically, when we entered the space, we did hear that the F-15 fighter jet had been taken down. But since then, what we've been able to ascertain is that things have progressed significantly. And so we'll give you a recap of what's happened with the F-15 fighter jet, and then we'll take it from there. But the F-15... there is an F-15 fighter jet that was allegedly taken down. So let me just explain to you what happened. We did do a video recap of this. Obviously, let me put it in the nest, just in case anyone did miss that. Here we go. Okay, so basically what happened was, just to give a slightly quicker recap, is an F-15 fighter jet was taken down. There was search and rescue efforts for it. There were F-15 fighter jets all around looking for it. And then apparently another helicopter was taken down. The Americans are claiming the Israelis are claiming that the Americans managed to acquire one of them, basically recover one of the pilots. The Iranians are saying they took the other pilot. So that's kind of the latest news at the moment. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at the moment. So that's the latest news on that. Search and rescue efforts ongoing. But yeah, that's kind of all of it. Is Beatrix? But guys, make sure you retweet the space, reshare the space, quote tweet the space. Anyone who quote tweets the space, like I said, we will retweet their quote tweets. What else? Yeah, is Beatrix there?
Beatrix is here. Beatrix is always here. She's just tweeting the space out. Guys, bottom right-hand side, purple pill. You can tweet the space from there. You can do it from Suleiman's profile, where it will be his pinned tweet. You can also, I appreciate everybody who on YouTube tells me that they now pin the space to their profile. So when you've done your own tweet, and you can do that, the symbol on the left of the purple pill, the half a triangle with three little circles, if you press that, you can share via post. When you share via post, just put a message on top. So I've just put live breaking news and keep that link, tweet it out. And then there's three little dots on the top right-hand side. If you press those three little dots, you can pin it to your profile, which means all your listeners, all your followers will know that you are in this space for breaking news. And there's a lot of news, guys, on top of what Suleiman said. I don't know if you want me to go through some of it now, the rest of the news, Suleiman, or?
Yes, please. If you can give the audience an update of what they've missed in the last, 8-9 hours or whatever we've been offline. So yeah, that would be great.
Cool. I can do that. Let's go. Okay. So Iran apparently shot down an F-15. And this is a bit fog of war, guys. So we're going to tell you what we're finding out. The news is coming out thick and fast. As it's verified, we'll keep amending it. We're going to tell you what we know so far. So the alleged rescue of one of the American pilots was reported by Israeli media. And it cited the Israeli Defense Ministry. Now, if that rescue did succeed, of the American pilot, it's an utter embarrassment that the Israelis knew so quick and reported it first. Utter embarrassment for the Americans. The other report claims that the second pilot was captured.
True, Beatrix.
If it's even true, yeah. If the rescue did succeed, exactly. If it is. And this is coming out. So initially, they denied that any pilot was captured. And the Iranians put the seat that was ejected, a picture of it. They posted a picture of it. And so there's a lot of denial and a lot of claims coming through. And as the news comes out, we're going to keep giving it to you. But as it becomes clear and more verified, we'll tell you what the situation is. So you know what they're claiming and then what the truth is as it comes out. So if the rescue did succeed of the American, it's an embarrassment that the Israelis knew so quick and reported it. But given that the Israelis are saying it, you've got to take it with a pinch of salt in the first instance, as Suleiman says. Other reports are claiming that the second pilot was captured by the IRGC. Nothing is confirmed yet about the rescue or capture reports. But this is an absolute embarrassment for the Trump administration. Absolutely embarrassing, given that last night, in less than an hour's notice, they sacked the chief of army staff and at least 2 generals that we know about, 2 army generals that we confirmed know about. But there was reports coming out that more were being discussed to be sacked and more unnamed people were sacked from the military. Okay. Let's go to some other news as well. I'll come back to that in a second. This is interesting, right? This is an Israeli guy. Let's see who he is. He's got quite a big profile. I think he must be some journalist. He said, all of us in Israel are praying that the crew of the American plane shot down in Iran will be rescued safely by American forces, and that if Iranians are the ones to reach them, it'll be the regime's opponents to assist them. Although they're not Israeli Air Force pilots, he says, every soldier in the US Army who fights alongside us is like one of ours, and our prayers are with them. That actually got me quite annoyed and angry because that's just disgusting. He's saying, oh, they're not Israeli forces, but we're thinking of them and we're praying for them. Well, they wouldn't have been there if it wasn't for you. They're fighting your war, literally. You guys aren't there. It's the Americans that are going there for you. And he's saying, even though they're not Israeli Air Force pilots, if they have been rescued, I hope it's not the Iranians, but it's the monarchists that are helping them. It's crazy. It's crazy. The casualties are coming in thick and fast for America, fighting Israel's war. And I'm going to keep saying that because that's the thing that's getting me really angry here. They already said if boots go on the ground, Israeli forces will not be the boots on the ground. America will be the boots on the ground for Israel. American casualties for Israel, American deaths for Israel. Anyway, Israel's Channel 12 also cited a Western source saying one of the 2 American crew members on board the downed F-15 Strike Eagle was rescued and evacuated from southern Iran. We just have claims, guys. We don't have anything. The Wall Street Journal said that a search and rescue operation was underway for the crew of a US fighter jet that went down over Iran. It didn't just go down, guys. It was shot down. Let's be honest. The F-15 doesn't just fall out of the sky for no reason. And this is the first known loss of a jet inside the country since the Iranian war began. This is what the Wall Street Journal is saying. There were also reports that Black Hawk Downs were doing the search and rescue operation, and one of them was shot down. Now, there were some claims about that. We've got nothing confirmed. What we have got is we've got footage of Black Hawk Downs, which are like these helicopters that were trying to do a search and rescue, and some just individual Iranians on the ground who had normal guns were trying to shoot down those helicopters, probably from fear of safety. Because in a wartime situation, you do not want to see the enemy's helicopters towering above your town. I'm going to give you that news. I'm going to keep giving you that news, guys, and I'm going to tell you the rest of the news as well that's happened, so we can get the full picture. America committed another war crime. Shahid Beheshti University was attacked in Iran. It was bombed. So yet another university was bombed. Goldman Sachs has said that a 30% recession risk is there, with inflation at 3% and unemployment is up. This is for America, the cost of war, guys. The Pope had a call with the Israeli president today to talk to him about missile attacks on holy sites. So literally it comes to something where the Pope has to talk to the Israelis to say, can you guys just hold off with your missile attacks on holy religious sites here? He didn't have a call with the Iranians. He had a call with the Israelis to say, can you guys just back off? That was today. The Iranian embassy in South Africa, and the embassies across South Africa are literally trolling. And not just trolling, but there's a really serious undertone. So they've done a meme where George Bush Sr. says, I destroyed. It's a meme of George Bush Sr. and actually, no, that's Reagan. It's a meme of Reagan with Trump shaking hands. They're shaking hands, and Reagan says, I destroyed the Soviet Union. And Trump says, I destroyed the United States. And that's what the Iranian embassy in South Africa has tweeted out. The commander-in-chief of the Iranian army, Amir Hatami, said, if the enemy launches a ground operation, not a single one of them should make it out alive. Not a single one of them should make it out alive. This is all for Israel. While Israel sits back in their bunkers, safeguarding their lives, not sending their troops to do the ground operation, not sending their military over the skies. It's America, American F-15s, American dollars, taxpayers, billions and billions of dollars, and American servicemen and women whose lives are being lost for Israel. There's a lot of stuff coming out from Iranians at the moment. There's these two Iranian influencers who've done a video saying Israel is attacking Iran's historical sites, but Iran can't respond the same way because Israel has no history. So much for regime change. Never have we seen a country so united as Iran is right now. There was a terrifying warning on Al Jazeera. The executive director of the International Energy Agency confirmed that Trump's disastrous war on Iran will cause massive global economic collapse. He warned that severe energy rationing is coming soon to countries worldwide. Massive global economic collapse. Severe energy rationing is coming soon to countries worldwide. And this is the executive director of the International Energy Agency. He confirmed that Trump's disastrous war on Iran would have those consequences. Well, I guess as long as Kushner's happy. It's quite funny, actually, because there was a report today that before Pam Bondi was sacked, she reportedly pleaded with Trump not to fire her. And when I was looking at that report today, I thought, well, two things. Firstly, it serves her right, because it doesn't matter how much you sell your soul to the devil and suck up to Trump, to put it politely. He doesn't care for loyalty. Everyone's disposable for him. He'll sack all of them. And then I thought about Jared Kushner. And I thought he was Israel's agent. He is Israel's agent. That's what Iran said. Iran said they won't have him as a mediator in any way, shape, or form because he is Israel's man. He, and Trump said this himself, convinced Trump to go into Iran that Saturday morning, early hours of Saturday morning, when they went in and killed the Supreme Leader Khamenei, and when they bombed that school, double tapped that girls' school. It was Kushner who persuaded Trump to do it. But do you know what? Do you see him being blamed? Do you see him being chastised in the media? Do you see him being sacked? Do you see there's any implications on him? I actually now feel that the American people are powerless. There's nothing they can do in this situation. Kushner is completely protected. Everybody else is disposable, and Trump does whatever Israel's telling him to do. Disgraceful. Trump gave two speeches on the same day. He said regime change in Iran was not our goal. And later on the same day, just a few hours later, he said, but we also want regime change in Iran. And there are people now saying he's doing this deliberately. And the reason he's doing it deliberately is because he's keeping people focused on what he's saying and mocking him and things to take away from the serious aspects of the consequences of this war. But we're not going to let that happen. So we're going to make sure we report on all of it, all of it. Macron has been doing, the French President Macron's been doing more speeches today. And he said, this is interesting, actually. He said, the day you say, I don't like your regime, I consider you threatening your neighbor, so I will intervene and bomb you, you open a Pandora's box. And literally, that's what he's saying. The day you say, I don't like your regime, I consider you threatening your neighbor, so I'll intervene and bomb you, you open a Pandora's box. And then he says, Iran is a very bad regime. No discussion about that. I disagree with them on a lot of topics, but I don't agree we will fix the situation just by bombings or military operations. Look what happened in Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya. We never delivered. Never. This is what he's saying. He says you have to respect the sovereignty of people. If people want to change a regime, they can do so. Having an agenda shared by Korea, France, and other Europeans, Canada,
Just some
Japan,
breaking news. Just some more breaking news. Apparently, Meher News are reporting that U.S. search helicopter, which was part of the mission looking for the F-15, has also been hit. The rescue operation is turning into a nightmare. So once again, repeat, another helicopter down, another helicopter down.
It's only a preliminary, only a preview of what's
Back
to
to you,
come.
Matrix.
Yeah.
Absolute air dominance.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how this is happening, Simon, because 24 hours after this war started, Trump told us they had no army left, they had no navy left. The navy was at the bottom of the sea. Their army had just been destroyed. They had no missiles left, and there'd been complete regime change. So I don't know how this is happening. I'm so angry and I'm so annoyed. And Andrew's right. I will continue with the news, but honestly, Andrew's right. This is a preview. And I hope to God that after this today, anybody who's got any kind of, conception of let's go for a ground operation is not going to do that. I hope Pete Hegseth and all of his cronies say, actually, it's not a good idea to send our people to the front line. Let Israel send their freaking people to the front line. Let them do it.
Well, Beatrix, I was just on a space where apparently Trump is absolutely taking down Zionism and he's taking down Israel. And we're completely on board with the Q plan. Like, this plan is working out to perfection in taking down, and Trump has taken down the European bankers and the Israeli Zionists, and he's taken the whole deep state down here.
Well, funny, Simon, you should say that, right? And I'm going to tell you this and I'll continue with the news. I popped into that space because I saw the host new and stuff and some of the panelists, and I like those guys, right? They're often on our spaces. They're on our spaces every day, actually. So I thought, oh, Simon's speaking, let me go in. So I went into listeners, and some guy had his hand up, and he said, to you, serious question. Do you think the GCC is behind all of this? Do you think they've orchestrated and engineered it because they don't like the Shias? And I thought, oh my God, does he just not get the fact that it's Israel? Like, how is this so difficult to understand? So yeah, I heard you there, Simon, and you were so calm, and you were like, well, let me explain it to you. And I felt like the word again should have come after you, or let me explain it to you. But yeah, I did hear some of it. It's funny. So let me finish this. So this was Macron. He says, look what happened in Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya. We never delivered, never. And guys, I need to say, he's speaking about it from a NATO perspective as well, right? Because NATO went in to Libya as an example. NATO were involved in some of these wars. And he says, you have to respect the sovereignty of people. If people want to change a regime, they can do so. Having an agenda shared by Korea, France, and other Europeans, Canada, Japan, India, Brazil, Australia, you start having a third way. Those who don't want to be dependent on China are aligned by definition on the US. So he's saying, I don't want to be aligned with the US. We don't want to be aligned with America anymore. All of these countries, his name, don't want to be aligned with America anymore. This Iranian embassy in South Africa is trolling hard. So they've actually done a picture of the armed forces people, like literally the military picture with a big cross in the middle of all those who got sacked yesterday, and put a caption over it saying, "Their regime change happened successfully, MAGA." And the reason I tell you this is because I want people to realize, and it's important, what the perception is around the world, right? The Iranian embassy in the UK has done a post with the Tower Bridge, London's Tower Bridge. This is the bridge that actually opens up to let traffic through, the iconic one. And it says, "Imagine if someone blew up Tower Bridge, what would your reaction be? Right now, the US and Israeli regimes have done the exact same terrorist attack in Iran, and they're proud of it. Please wake up and open your eyes to the truth. Israel is the biggest enemy and the most imminent threat to the world." So you notice that they're saying very clearly that America and Israel have done the act of terrorism of blowing up the bridge, but then they say Israel is the biggest enemy. They haven't included America in that as being the enemy, because they know that it's Israel doing this. They say Israel is the biggest enemy and the most imminent threat to the world. And talking about the UK, I do need to say this really quickly. Yvette Cooper, who's our foreign minister, has continued with this absolute nonsense of military kind of consortium to get the Strait of Hormuz opened. She's making statements. She said that Britain rejects Iran's blockade of the Hormuz Strait. There isn't a blockade on it. There isn't a blockade on it. In fact, and I will cover this later in the news, a French vessel got through, right? Because they made a deal with Iran. So anyway, she calls it a blockade of the Hormuz Strait. She said she didn't have a problem. This lady, who's our foreign secretary, said nothing about Israel's blockade on Gaza. Nothing. But she has a problem with this. And I'll cover more about the UK as well, because I really think we are all in.
Beatrix, is that why France was with Russia and China in the UN Security
Yeah,
Council?
I would say so. I think they want to have nothing to do with it. Simon, I think France is distancing itself from Keir Starmer.
But it just shows you a lot. Iran kind of has leverage now, and so if you've got somebody I know France is like a previous empire, but they've got a Security Council seat on the UN. Like they've got a lot of clout from previous, and they're a serious part of the military apparatus in Europe anyway. But the fact that Iran has leverage, and you can start to see a pivot in France's strategy, that kind of shows you, what type of things are happening here in terms of the leverage play.
Yeah, I agree. And I think we're going to see more of this. I'm just so disappointed that that Keir Starmer's decided to do what he's decided to do. I think he should have. You can't, on the one hand, say we're going to actually have closer alliances with Europe and strategic defenses and, strategic alignment on economy and the defense pact and everything else, and then completely break ranks with their position and go all in with the military for supporting America on this. And you can't stand on a podium every other day saying, this is not our walk. This is what Keir Starmer's doing. I'm putting the interests of the British people first. And yet he's doing everything. Using our military, our bases, everything, our intelligence in every way to help Israel and America. It's just disgusting hypocrisy, actually. And I
If he was
suspect,
putting the British people first, he'd be buying a shit ton of LNG from Russia right now and helping the British people.
you know what? And yeah, do
Just
you know
more
what?
breaking news, breaking news. Fox News said that the Marines should be sent in to rescue the downed F-15 crew. They're basically saying that the Marines should be sent in. We also have some more breaking news in Iran. the residents in the area are looking for the lost and missing American pilots. The what's this? This is from Fox News, I believe. It's saying that two U.S. officials have now confirmed to Newsmax that one of the pilots has been rescued so one of the pilots is rescued and is receiving medical treatment. The second pilot's whereabouts are unknown. He is still missing. He is still not being located by the United States of America. As I mentioned earlier, Mehr News are claiming that they have the pilot and he is a hostage. The locals are looking for the pilot. Search and rescue operations continue. We've seen videos of a HC-130 aircraft and helo in the skies. One source says that the Black Hawk may also have been hit over Iran while conducting, we already mentioned this, rescue operations to find the second F-15 pilot. The Newsmax broadcaster says that she's told that the Black Hawk was tailed by a trail of smoke as it crossed into southern Iraq from Iran today. So major news there, Black Hawk down looking for the F-15, and we have one pilot missing. We have one pilot possibly rescued with injuries. Back to you, Beatrix. We'll give you the news as and when we receive it.
Thanks, Suleiman. Also, CNN is reporting that the downing of the F-15 fighter jet over Iran is a huge blow to the Trump administration. Huge blow to the Trump administration. What I was saying, Simon, about the Keir Starmer is I suspect the majority, or at least a significant proportion of Brits, when they come home from work and they put their evening news on, they'll see his statement with all the British flags behind him saying, I'm putting the interests of the British people first. We're not part of this war in any way. And they believe that. They don't know everything else that he's doing. Because they don't know, we find this out because we do the research on it. We've got the footage of our air bases being used, but that's not going to be shown on primetime news here.
Yeah, it's slightly different with
So
Starmer, though,
Trump
isn't it? Like with Trump, there's a celebrity idol worship cult. With Starmer, no one likes him and no one trusts him, so it just doesn't work to the same degree. Like, I don't know anyone that likes Starmer.
No, he unites the country. That the only thing he does is unite everybody of every class, every political ideology to dislike him equally. The left, the right, the upper class, everyone, the working class, they all dislike him equally. He's hanging on to that position for dear life. And do you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if he actually takes us into war. If they put boots on the ground, he will send our people boots on the ground because that will safeguard his position and he won't have to go for election. This is what Boris Johnson did. Boris Johnson, literally that evening, I remember the papers were saying he is resigning. They were lined up outside Downing Street. The press were lined up outside Downing Street the following morning, waiting for him to come out and resign. And he came out and said, oh, I can't resign. We are at war. And they started the Russia-Ukraine conflict, literally that morning. We are at war.
Just more breaking.
It's what Netanyahu does.
Just some more breaking news. We've got footage coming out showing that one US HH-60G Pave Hawk rescue helicopter searching for the downed F-15 crew was hit and seen trailing smoke as it crossed back into southern Iraq. So we now have the footage of the Black Hawk being hit and the Black Hawk being hit. Yeah, so that's it. This with the trail of smoke. Sorry, back to you, Beatrix.
No, thank you very much. Yeah. Wall Street Journal is reporting that Iran has rejected all American demands and refused to meet with American officials who went to Islamabad in Pakistan. Iran News 24 is reporting what we just said. They're quoting Trump saying Iran has no navy, no air force, and no missiles left. Literally word for word what we just said. And then they say Iran successfully shoots down a US F-15 fighter jet, causing both pilots to eject from the aircraft. They know it. Let me have a look. Uh,
Yeah, apparently they took it down with a catapult then, right?
yeah, basically, yeah. This footage of Iranian forces capturing a nearly intact US-made Shahid clone drone Lucas in the Persian Gulf. I think that's just about to come out now. Let me go to the rest of the news. So Trump put a tweet, one of his Truth Social posts out today, and he says, "We will call J.D. Vance the, quote, fraud czar, and his focus will be everywhere. The fraud czar, capital letters, everywhere, capital letters, but primarily in those blue states where crooked Democrat politicians like those in California, Illinois, Minnesota," and then he's put in brackets, "Somalia, beware. Maine, New York, and many others have had a free-for-all in the unprecedented theft of taxpayer money." That's Trump trying to keep the country divided on red-blue lines and demonize certain states, the blue states over the red states. And, you know, funny enough, he's talking about taxpayer money while he's spending billions for Israel right now. Let's have a look. So late last night, early this morning, when the news came through of the F-15, CENTCOM, from its official account, said, claim, IRGC says it downed an enemy fighter jet over Keshem Island in the Strait of Hormuz. Fact, all US fighter aircraft are accounted for. Iran's IRGC has made the same false claim at least half a dozen times. And then it came out that they did actually down a jet. It's just that the location wasn't correct, and CENTCOM is actually being called out for lying. Abbas Araghchi, the foreign minister, has released a statement because he's received assassination threats from Israel and America. So he says, "Your threats are beneath our feet. If we feared death, we would not have entered this war, nor would we have offered our finest men as martyrs. Death is an honor for us as we defend our homeland, better than dying subjugated to you, with our homeland under your guardianship and rule. We were born free, and we will die free. We will not submit to child rapists, blood merchants, and oppressive rulers." Keir Starmer had a meeting with Kuwait's Crown Prince today. So yesterday it was with Qatar and a whole host of other countries. The day before it was arranging some sort of military collaboration with countries. Today the news has come out that he's had a meeting with Kuwait's Crown Prince to review plans. That means they must have something there to deploy British rapid sentry air defense systems to Kuwait. So our rapid sentry air defense system to Kuwait. And then the Royal Air Force here in the UK said this defensive deployment aligns with the UK government's policy to protect British personnel, interests and partners in the Middle East whilst avoiding escalation into wider conflict. And I would say at this stage, I'm sorry, but why do you still have British personnel in the Middle East? Why haven't you brought our people home? It's a war zone out there. When you put in an air defense system now in Kuwait or any of those countries, you become party to that war. And you make us party to that war. But this is Keir Starmer, as Simon says. Professor Morandi actually posted this a few hours ago, about 3 or 4 hours ago, and he said, besides other countries that contacted Iran this week to negotiate passage through the Strait of Hormuz, 2 US allied Arab regimes, I don't know which US allied, but he says 2 US allied Arab regimes have also reached out since yesterday to meet Iran's conditions. So they're happy to do what Iran wants them to do, to, you know, not pay in dollars, pay in Chinese yuan and everything. Iran has not yet responded, he says. This means other options are dead ends. Any solution must go through accepting Iran's sovereignty over the strait. Okay, I don't know what this one is. Let me go to the next one. Iranian TV broadcast this to residents of Coglia and Bahr Abad province. I believe this is where the F-15 was downed, and this was a few hours ago. And they said if you capture, just as generally through the war, if you capture any enemy pilot or pilots and deliver them alive to law enforcement and military forces, you will receive a valuable reward. So I guess the message there is don't kill them. Don't kill anybody you capture. Just hand them over. The oil refinery, the Mina Ahmed oil refinery in Kuwait was targeted this morning. Claims are that it was Iran who did it. A huge fire was seen burning. I don't know if it was Iran or not because Iran hasn't actually said that. We did cover this last night, but I think it's important, just in case somebody wasn't on the space last night. The White House is proposing a record 1.5 trillion defense budget for 2027. Trillion, not billion. And it's going to help offset the cost, the plan, which includes $73 billion in cuts to domestic programs. So domestic programs will be cut by $73 billion, housing, education, all of that, law enforcement, all of that will be cut to cover the cost of war. I think that's it for me now, Suleiman. I'll pass to you. Thank you.
Thumbs up, Beatrix. That was important news, giving a recap of the day of the last 9 hours. Just want to welcome Simon onto the stage, obviously, Gary, Robert, and Andrew, and Myron. Myron, thanks for joining us. Wanted to speak to you about this F-15 that's been taken down. It was taken down towards the end of our space, but since then, apparently two pilots, one possibly rescued, one possibly taken hostage by the Iranians. Black Hawk down as well after looking for the pilot. Give us your thoughts and recaps. I saw you tweet out about it.
Were you just talking to me? Did you just say bye-bye?
No, I didn't, bro.
Oh, crap. I'm sorry. Do I have a moment to interrupt, or is this
No, you
bad time?
don't. You did this last time. That's why I had to drop you. Can you not interrupt? Is that all right?
I thought you just said that. All right, man. I'm good.
Okay. Okay. Okay, Myron dropped. Okay, we'll talk about the fighter jet. Obviously, that's a very important news. Simon, jump in with your thoughts or perspectives and the financial news, and then we'll obviously continue to give you the news about the F-15 fighter jet as well.
Yeah, so I guess something quite interesting happened, which is that upon the news or around about the time of the news, we got a massive spike in West Texas oil, and it's hovering around higher than Brent crude at the moment. There was a massive price differential before where oil within America was at a pretty big discount to Brent crude, which was also at a pretty big discount to oil within Oman and the Middle East region. So that's a pretty interesting development. There's a couple of ways of interpreting it. Obviously, WTI is kind of acting like a bit of a proxy relative to the rest of the world, but I don't think that's the right way of interpreting it. I think it might be, some kind of profiteering where the oil within America is being renegotiated in terms with various other countries, but the main thing that's happening is on the LNG side. So I think there's a short-term arbitrage opportunity for oil and LNG producers to lock in these contracts, and there may be a bit of shenanigans happening with the pricing, which is kind of antithetical to the whole, oh, right, we've got all the energy that we need. So those oil prices are there. Nothing else that exciting, really. Like the yields are slightly up, so you're around about that 4.9%. Once you hit the 5% on the 30-year Treasury, you get the taco trade from Trump, and that 10-year Treasury, which sets mortgage rates. That's still at the dangerous territory, but it's not quite at the 4.5%. So yeah.
Some more breaking news, Simon. Iranian forces capture, where we've got the footage of it now. Iranian forces capture a US-made Shahid clone drone, Lucas, in the Persian Gulf as well. Iran rejects all US requests and refuses to meet with American officials in Islamabad. Obviously, we continue to give the news on that as well. Obviously, we want to talk about the market as well, and we'll be talking about the F-15 fighter jet that's been taken down, possibly an American hostage. If you saw my video, I explained what happened the last time Iran took hostages, and it wasn't great for the Americans. They kept the hostages for 444 days. Thank you to Ali with a huge super chat. Appreciate your support of the space. It really does help a lot, and it does mean a lot as well. We're live on YouTube. We're live on X. So Myron, are you there? You got your mic sorted?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, I was asking you about the F-15 fighter jet. I know you've been covering it. If you want to explain to the audience, what's your kind of thoughts about what's going on and the search and rescue efforts?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been reported now by CBS that one of them has been rescued. I heard that one of them has been captured. At first I was like, well, this is not good because obviously they're in a fairly rural area. You only have enough supplies really to last you for a couple of days if you don't have, at least where you can be hidden and not have to worry about, revealing yourself. Because obviously when you get caught behind enemy lines, your number one goal is to not be captured, and not be detected. And then obviously if you do get detected, you have to obviously fight your way out. So I'm assuming they probably have some small arms, maybe a rifle. But obviously the worst case scenario is being captured, because if they get captured, man, that's going to put the United States in a very difficult position diplomatically, right? It's going to be huge for the Iranians, because they're going to parade them around and use that to kind of get all kinds of concessions, and it'll put Trump in a very weak position from negotiating. He's already in a weak position, to be honest with you, with the Strait of Hormuz being closed and the barrel prices surging. I think we hit $140 yesterday on crude. So with Brent. So he's already basically would put him in a crippling political position that he wouldn't be able to hide. He gave an address the other day where he just lied to the American public. Anyone that knows what's really going on and is fairly aware and geopolitical aware knows that this conflict has been a nightmare. It's been an L strategically for us. Yes, we have some military wins, but at the end of the day, strategically, we're losing. We're talking about Americans paying almost double the price for their gas. Food cost of living is going up. Europe's in the middle of an energy crisis, and Trump is trying to rid his hands of it, saying, oh, well, we might just pull out without even getting the Strait of Hormuz, which is absolutely nuts. And, his address to the nation, quite frankly, if you're a, regular American that doesn't watch the news, because the other thing too is as I was like watching him address the nation, like it kind of dawned on me, okay, the average American pretty much, watches the news, sparingly. If they are watching the news, they're probably more concerned with domestic affairs. They're more concerned with maybe like Pam Bondi getting fired or the price of gas or like, maybe the cost of living, but they're not going to like do the reverse engineering and figure out why they're paying more. They're not going to do the research and figure out, oh, we're in the middle of a war in Iran. Oh, wait, hold on. Like we're losing kind of like what's going on? Because like what Trump is saying is we're destroying them militarily. We're destroying their Navy. We're destroying their Air Force. We destroyed their missile capability. It's all lies, dude. It's all lies. Because like, okay, let's go off what they're saying, right? What is the U.S. government purporting? They're saying we destroyed 90% of their ballistic missiles. We stopped their nuclear program. We destroyed their Navy, and we destroyed their Air Force. This is what Hexeth, Marco Rubio, and Donald Trump have been parading for the past several weeks. Okay, why is the Strait of Hormuz so closed? They don't got an answer for that, and they can't open it up. So does it matter that you destroyed a Navy that wasn't really a threat in the first place? Does it matter that you destroyed an Air Force that had fucking, fighter jets from the 1970s when the Shah was around? Like, does it matter that, you apparently destroyed 90% of the ballistic missiles when Israel's still getting hit every single day with several waves and the Gulf is still getting blown up, right? All of our bases in the region are pretty much cooked, right? The New York Times claims and says, oh, all the bases in the region are quote unquote uninhabitable, which is a fucking joke. What that really means is they're destroyed. Okay. You can't really do anything with them and they're going to need to be rebuilt. Well, for them to be rebuilt, that's contingent upon our diplomatic ties with the Gulf states. I would argue that we've completely destroyed our diplomacy and our relationship with the Gulf states because they're getting fucking destroyed right now and bearing the full brunt of this conflict because of bases that we put there, which were there to protect them in the first place. So it's absolutely ludicrous to me that that they would allow us to rebuild. They're probably not gonna, especially if the Iranian government, the way that it is, stays in power, which I don't foresee us overseeing this, overthrowing this government. So with that said, and I'll wrap up with this. The reality is that this conflict is retarded. I hope we get our guy back, because if he was to be captured, it would be a diplomatic nightmare.
Just Myron, on the search and rescue efforts, what's your what from your perspective and your understanding how would they deploy those search? We know we've seen them try and use these Black Hawk helicopters to search over Iran. What would the kind of procedure be in order to cordon off the area, find out which, what I mean by cordon off the area, I mean like decide which is the specific locations above the air that they would try and ascertain where they need to search? How would the search efforts take place? What would happen from your understanding?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I've been looking at at a lot of the videos, and you know, these search and rescue aircraft are flying extremely low, right, and putting themselves in a very dangerous position. Which when I saw them flying that low, I knew right away, because when the news first broke a couple of hours ago, like, you know, people were trying to say, oh, it's not real, it's fake, it's fake, it's fake. But when I saw, like, I knew it was real when I saw all the clips of U.S. aircraft flying so low. I was like, yeah, they would only fly low like that because they're desperate to try to rescue somebody. Because obviously the government understands what would happen if that person were to be captured. So they will only take a risk on like that if someone was seriously in a situation where they needed to be rescued. So that's what made it legit to me when I looked. And then obviously Axios started reporting on it and people started believing it. But go ahead, Andrew. Andrew.
Hey, yeah, Myron. Can I add on that to this, Sully? What Myron?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, Myron, thank you. Your expertise and knowledge comes in over and over again. Thank you, sir. Yeah, to add on that, it's no coincidence. I had breakfast this morning with a 25-year career Air Force search rescue well, actually, that's what he did, specialized. They're specially trained for that. This is crazy. We were just talking about that. And Myron already laid it out. You're going to have to see, they cannot be fast movers. They're going to have to come in and drop those personnel in. They're highly trained to recover. However, again, without air superiority protecting them, they're sitting ducks. This is an extremely mess. We found ourselves into a mess that people can't comprehend. And then real quick, those pilots are trained in SEER training, that search, escape, rescue, evasion training. One of my best friends was a fighter pilot. I never went through it because I was in the submarine world, but my best friend, he was a fighter pilot, he had to go through that training, and it is extremely intense. They teach them, they literally beat them. They beat them up with these mittens, teach them how to endure suffering, intimidation, and minor torturing. But here's the bottom line. The Geneva Convention, we know the Iranians are very honorable. They will not do they'll torture them. No, what they're going to do, they're going to have these people say, listen, and it's going to happen. We've seen it happen in Vietnam. We saw it happen in Iraq. We saw it happen in Afghanistan. These pilots are going to come up and say, well, why are we doing this? Here's my name, rank, and serial number. Eventually, it's going to be a great embarrassment to the United States, to the world, when they literally say, we're just here to blow stuff up. This will be a major political push and help the Iranians tremendously. Even with the SEER training, there's no way they can come into this and say, yeah, we're justified in killing every one of you. They can't do it. They can't do it. It's an unjust war.
Yeah. And Andrew, in terms of the search and rescue efforts, I mean, how would they specifically try and locate these the fighter pilot, the specific?
Yes, if you would like, seriously, I just had breakfast with him. We were just talking 20 minutes ago. I can have him literally even get on my phone. He lives about 10 minutes from me. I can ask him to come in. He'd be happy. He did 25 years of that.
Let's do it. Bring him in.
Okay, I'll call him. I'll call Edward up and have him come on and talk. I can't believe we were just talking.
That would be really helpful for the audience. If
yes,
you can do that for Andrew, that'd be awesome.
I'll do it right away. Okay.
Okay, cool. Andrew's going to get that person. Let me just give you some more of the news, because the expert Andrew's getting is a search and rescue expert. So that will give us a good information on the specifics of how this search and rescue is going to be carried out. ABC News confirms that the US doesn't have superiority over Iran sky as Trump administration claimed. We mentioned about the Shahid drone already. The CNN are reporting that the downing of the F-15 fighter jet over Iran and the loss of the American pilots is a huge blow. If you remember, guys, if there is a hostage situation, this would be huge for the Iran. The last time Iran had American hostages, they kept them for 444 days. I'll break this down in that video that I posted earlier before we started the space. They kept them for 444 days. What did Iran do? They basically, when the students went into the US embassy in order to acquire those hostages, they basically, there was about 65 of them, I believe. Anyway, there's 60 something of them. And they let go about 15, 20 of those hostages. They let go the women. They let go the black people. They said that you guys are also oppressed by the Americans, and so therefore we're gonna let you guys go. And they kept the remaining hostages for 444 days. So Americans were unable to acquire them back, and when they did, it was based on this removal of the sanctions, which they removed and then put them back on again 2 years later. They let this be a lesson for Iran, that any deals you do with the United States of America, sanctions relief or other, that deal will be reneged on within a short period of time. Okay, let's let me just quickly, I'm just speaking to someone. Okay, and yeah, that's it. So that's really, really important. Now let's get back into the conversation. I'm also seeing, let me see.
I do want to say I think it's starting to get dark in Iran right now. Nightfall's coming, so that should help the pilot a bit. With hopefully he can move a little bit easier. Because I'm assuming during the day he probably has to lay low, but right now it's getting dark in Iran.
Yeah, it is indeed.
They're roughly like 7-8 hours ahead of us, if I'm not mistaken, right?
The 2.5. Oh wait, yeah, of you guys, 7.5.
East Coast.
Yeah.
East Coast,
7.5 of. I think the 2.5 of the UK and 7.5 of East Coast. Armed Iranians are basically combing the Khuzestan province in search of the missing US pilot who ejected from the F-15 fighter earlier. So far, the US has only rescued one. There is a possibility that the other one has been apprehended. That is the latest news. Obviously, if it is a hostage situation, that will be huge. Yeah, that would be huge indeed. Just want to welcome David and Adam onto the stage as well. Let's go to Adam, Simon, sorry, Robert, or Gary, anyone. I feel bad, obviously, you guys have been here for ages. Any thoughts on this? I know you mainly look at things from a financial perspective, but Simon, any thoughts on this fighter jet or this fighter pilot being taken down? Okay, let's go to Robert. Anything?
No, just that I hope he's found. I think that it would almost force Trump to escalate. Just kind of trying to put myself in Trump's shoes and how he thinks, which is kind of difficult sometimes. But trying to do that, I feel like you start getting videos of an American pilot, behind, captured behind enemy lines. And I think that Trump is going to feel pressure to escalate. And that is not good for anyone. It's not good for Americans, not good for Iranians. So yeah, I'm just hoping that that second one is found, because otherwise I think it could get pretty bad.
Yeah, Robert, you cut off.
Oh yeah, just hoping he's found.
Obviously, the space is glitching. We know they're targeting the space because the Zionists, don't want you to hear the truth.
I
They
think
don't
it might
want
have
to
been
give you
you,
the
Sully.
reality of the situation. So, but it doesn't matter. We'll continue to give you the news. Hopefully, Robert can come back. But just to
Suleiman, I
give
got
you
a
some
funny
more
story for you on that.
I don't think
just to give you some more
Sully can't
information
hear
and
us, by the way.
more news.
You
Hey,
can't hear
Sully,
us, yeah.
Sully can hear us. Solomon.
We have Professor Morandi, who's
Yeah, I don't
basically
think so.
said, not a good day for the
Yeah, he
evil
can't hear
Yo,
us.
Sally,
empire.
can you
This
hear?
is in relation to the F-15 being taken down, a pilot being possibly missing and possibly a hostage, a Black Hawk looking for him and then also being taken down. This is not looking good for the American regime, especially after yesterday. Especially after yesterday, Hegseth went on a firing spree and they had regime change in the American administration. The chief army of staff was fired, as were, I believe, there was a large go out of people from the administration.
Okay, I just messaged Sully, so he's probably checking his message.
Is people speaking? One second, let me quickly reset because it crashed.
Okay, so Sully, I just messaged Sully, so he's just gonna reboot and then he can hear us. He was speaking, but he couldn't hear us, so we were all just listening into his news. But I think he just got the message.
Sorry about that, guys. Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear us, Sully?
Yeah. Sorry, I just got the message on YouTube that apparently I was talking while other people were talking.
Yeah, all good. So Robert was speaking,
Sorry.
but you couldn't hear, so he finished his point. And then I think Myron was going to chime in, but if you want to carry on giving the news.
No. Let's go to Myron. Go ahead, Myron. Yeah, I couldn't hear when it cut out. I thought it was Robert who cut out, not me.
Okay,
So
no worries.
okay,
Well,
Myron.
I was just going to say as well, like I seem to remember, maybe Beatrix or Suleiman, you can confirm, but in the Hamas hostage swap operation, there were actually American hostages as well, but they chose to deliberately not let the American people know that. They tried to keep it under wraps. And so they don't really care about hostages. And there were Americans, even Israelis, they sniped an American journalist in the West Bank, like during the whole Gaza side. So they don't care about Americans unless it hits the PR side. So the fact that this is going to be like a PR thing, it could be a really decisive point in changing the narrative, as we said. But as long as they can keep it, when they can keep it under wraps, there is a track record of America just pretending there's no American hostages when they control the media narrative.
Okay.
Simon, it comes down to the media narrative and how they can actually whip it up into a frenzy. So when it came to the Gaza-Israel situation, Israel was actually dictating how they wanted to do it, and it had to be all only about the Israeli hostages, only about them. And in fact, it wasn't so much even about the hostages, we know that. It was all about the fabricated events of October the 7th. That's all it was about, right? There was very little about the actual hostages or care for the hostages. And then remember the amount of Americans that have been killed by Israelis, like not even now, but going back like what, 20 years? Who was the
USS Liberty.
it was oh my God, I can't believe that it's just escaped my mind now. But the
The one where
American
they have the
kind of
annual
9/11.
the annual pancake thing, because the Israelis blew
yeah,
her
yeah,
over at Corrie.
yeah, with a
Yeah,
bulldozer.
so the Israelis like blew, run over an American protester in Gaza with a bulldozer, and they claimed it was an accident, but then they went back and they kept doing it, and now there are some people that celebrate every year by having a pancake day, in memory of the American protester that they just bulldozed down because she was trying to stand up for Palestinian rights while Israeli terrorists were trying to steal Palestinian houses and burn down their houses and bulldoze their houses down.
I have some good news. If you would like to hear about Israel.
Yeah, Adam, I just wanna say it was Rachel Corrie. The name came back to me. Rachel Corrie. stood in front of a bulldozer, high-vis jacket on, megaphone in her hand, saying, "Please don't bulldoze their home," and they went straight over her. And that was buried. Her family never really got justice. Years later, Israel said, "Oh yeah, we did it." And what? But initially there was denial. And that's happened so many times with so many Americans. But this will be propagandized. To answer your question, Simon, this will be propagandized because right now the whole kind of ambition for this is to demonize Iran and therefore get consent for this war. So they will whip this up even more into a frenzy. Oh my God, what's Iran going to do? Oh my God, look, they've got our American people. Now we need to go in. Now we need to have boots on the ground to rescue that one person. It's going to be used to get consent for the war. Adam, jump in if you've got good news. Go ahead. Could do with it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, a senior Israeli economic analyst in Haaretz, Haaretz is an Israeli publication for those who don't know, says that if this government stays in power for another year, Israel is finished. Yeah, so that seems to having a really bad effect there on the Israeli economy, and many commenters on the article were saying Israel is already finished anyway. So there's a lot of doom and gloom within Israel itself. So inshallah.
Definitely a bit of hopium, but we'll
12
take the
months
good news, isn't
counting down.
it?
I can do more news if you want, or we can go to the panel.
Yeah, just before you go to the news, Andrew, we do want to hear it for sure. Andrew, are you there? Did you want to give us some update? And have you got your expert? Andrew? Guys, can you hear me?
I can hear you, yeah. He's there with
Yeah, I
his
can hear
We
you.
can.
Andrew's there with his hand up.
Andrew,
Yes, if you
yeah.
want Adam to finish news, I can wait. I got information back from my friend that I
Yeah,
wanted
let
to
us
update,
know.
but whatever.
No, give us that information, please. Andrew.
Andrew, can you just jump in with the info?
Okay. I just spoke with my friend. I called him. He lives like 10 minutes away from me, and this is what he told me. He said he does definitely. There's two things. One, he definitely does not want to, or he does not feel comfortable with getting on and speaking about tactics that are used, that are being employed to rescue any downed pilots. He did that was his specialty. It's the Air Force equivalent of our Navy SEALs. They specialize in search and rescue. He said it would be too uncomfortable for him without compromising things. But he did say this. He said, look, make sure we may understand something here clearly. Without air superiority, without establishing air superiority, he said, he's like me. He's like, we can't believe this is happening. This is a man that spent 25 years of his life in the military. I did over 20 active and then consulting, and then many years later, we're shocked. We're like, what in the hell's going on? So he said he wouldn't want to go into it, but he said every effort is being made to rescue those pilots, the one that they can't find. He said, make sure we understand that. The problem is we are now in a very, very compromised position, in a situation that's almost unimaginably complicated, and meaning more loss of lives. Look at the movie Blackout Down. I've watched that movie twice. It's the same thing that happened to us in Mogadishu. We went in without the right planning. We went in without the right objectives, and it was an incredible embarrassment. And we talked about that. My friend and I talked about that. But he didn't want to be rude. He just said, please understand, I would be compromising things that I'm not able to speak about. And that's why sometimes on the space I've said a couple times, I'm not able to elaborate. I'm not at liberty to talk about that because of non-disclosures and things I'm not able to discuss. But they're making every effort. But now the situation is very difficult for them to make that rescue effort. So sorry about that. I wish I could have got him to elaborate more, but any way I can help. God bless us all. We got to keep fighting this fight.
Exactly, Andrew. Now we appreciate that, and no stress whatsoever. I've got a couple of experts coming on in a bit. We've got ex-Marine veteran Matthew Ho. If you remember, he's coming on, so we'll definitely ask him about that. In addition to that, we have what you call Anthony Aguilar coming on as well. So we've got people who we will break it down in detail from a holistic perspective, detailed perspective, operations perspective, all that will be happening. This is what we do. We give you the real news, real information, and detailed interviews with experts. And on that note, with the interviews of the experts, that tweet is in the nest. As you know, the second channel, the new channel, those interviews are going to be on there. So if you follow the tweet in the nest, Bridge the Gap X, that would be awesome. Make sure you're following it because that's where the interviews are going to be live. Yeah, so that is I'm just reading some of the Zionist propaganda. It's just hilarious. They're like, oh yeah, if the Iranians capture him, they may actually like help him because they want regime change. Yeah, these guys are just coping. This is why the other Zionist space, you should make sure you're boycotting it. And all these people who claim that they're pro anti-Zionist but then run to his platform as faster than they can are a joke, because it's not like they've got real people and they just boost it. People like Colonel McGregor and various other people. Aramate literally said to me, let's do an interview, gave me his word, and then reneged, and then after that, not replied back, but runs on to Zionist platform. So these people are frauds. But coming back to the point in hand.
He did the same with Ryan Dawson, didn't he, as well?
Sorry?
He did the
He
same
did
with
some with
Ryan
Ryan
Dawson
Dawson
as
as well.
well.
Yeah, so these guys are frauds. Yeah, he did. He basically had Ryan Dawson on for an interview and then tried to get him on a gotcha. When Ryan basically, it didn't work on Ryan. Then what happened was he basically dropped Ryan from the show. So he was on the show and then he just dropped him. So yeah, this is a fraud and yeah, low class behavior, because I've been nothing but nice to this guy, and he, this dishonorable behavior is prevalent amongst these people. Maybe he believes that he has more supremacy over me because I'm not a Jewish man. I don't know what it is, but very low behavior. Coming back to the conversation at hand, but we appreciate the real ones who are coming on. We've got this show going. I'm not bothered about it. I'm just saying all these people, it's just a drama for them. It's a game. It's a football game for them. But anyway, coming back to it, back to the situation in hand. As we mentioned, as a recap, F-15 down. There is a Black Hawk down as well. One fighter has been rescued. One is missing. People are looking for him. Many believe that he has been Iran, or news is claiming that they have him as a hostage. We're live on X. We're live on YouTube. We'll stream this live on X. So make sure you're following the normal channel, which is Suleiman Ahmed X, and make sure you're following the second channel, which is Bridge the Gap X. Both of them are in the nest. Make sure you're following them. But back to the news. Very important news. David, thanks for joining us. Hope you're doing well. What's your thoughts on this fighter jet being down?
Well, just reading the news out of the opinionators in Russia, they believe that this is a doctrine that Iran has been doing in conjunction with the Russians, is to feign weakness and bring in your enemy closer and deeper into your territory. And they literally waited. It was a spider and a fly in the spider's web, basically. And it's a gross underestimation of the capacity and the quality of the air defense systems that, of course, we're being told that America has completely turned to dust. They have not, and the quality is there, as can be seen. I just seen a post from one of the main Russian guys saying that, yes, one of the Black Hawks was damaged, but it has landed inside Iraqi territory. And we'll wait to see. But this is part of the structure that they have been doing for quite some time. We know that they have S-300s and S-400s. We know they have upgraded Panzer systems, which are the Russian version as well, and they have not been used. Not one S-300 or S-400, or indeed the rumor is that they have got one grouping of S-500, which is one of the latest versions of the upgraded 400. They're smaller, more mobile, and they have higher altitude. So they are specifically designed for, let's just say, high altitude bombers. The S-600 Big Sister is for satellites, and that's already in operation in Russia, and it won't be brought out for another year anywhere else. But as you saw there today, this week, India, due to the failure that they had with Pakistan there last year, have put an order in for $25 billion worth of the S-400 series. So without a doubt, the S-400 is by far the best quantity. They're more producing them twice, if not three times more missiles than what they're doing on the Patriot systems. And they're a fraction of the price, about 35% of the price of a Patriot. But they haven't been used. We know they're there because they delivered in the first S-300s in late 2023. And this is just the same protocol the Russians are using. I've discussed this before. Sit quiet, feign weakness, bring your enemy in, and as the Russians do in Ukraine, they bring them into a set-piece cauldron, and then they artillery them and Katyusha them into oblivion. So this looks like what it is as well, that these planes are in the belief that they can progress deeper into Iranian territory and then get decapitated, for want of a better term. And I sent you some stuff on Telegram as well, Suleiman.
Appreciate that. I responded. Yeah, guys, huge news. As I mentioned, F-15 fighter jet down, F-15 fighter jet down. One American pilot is missing, could be a hostage of Iran, and we know how the hostage situations do not work out well for the United States of America when it comes to Iran. If you watch, I don't want to keep plugging, but I did break this down in the video I did about the F-15 on the main channel. So you can check that out because I break it down in terms of what happened in the previous hostage situation. We got a super chat says how Iran let one get rescued is baffling me. Good question. We're going to ask that question to the experts when we get them on later. We'll be getting them on, and it'll be really good interviews. And that's why you should be following the second channel, which is Bridge the Gap X. We got Lieutenant Colonel Anthony Aguilera coming on. We've got Matthew Ho, who is a Marine Corps. I got him on because I wanted to talk about the ground invasion, but now we've got this important conversation to have as well. What did I call the title of that? U.S. Army. Okay, I did it about the U.S. Army resigning, but this is even bigger news. So much news coming out. I'll have to change the poster on that. But yeah, there's a lot of news. F-15 down. Adam, thanks for Gary and Adam. But let's go to Adam first. Adam, thanks for joining us. Any thoughts on this F-15 fighter jet going down?
Yeah, thanks, Sally. Hope you're doing well as well, brother.
Yeah, doing great. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. Yeah, I woke up not too long ago and I saw, Iran's been busy. Am I correct in saying that they've downed 3 aircraft, 1 helicopter, 2 jets, F-15, F-16, something like that. So, and I'm seeing now preliminary reports of an A-10 being downed. Unconfirmed yet, but if so, that's they really are showing that they have these, their air defenses are stronger than we've been told. I personally believe that they have even more powerful air defenses than that. David and I asked you a long time ago because I was quite interested. Have Russia given Iran any of their advanced air defense systems? And I don't doubt that they would if this went into a full-fledged ground invasion and we start seeing, 5th gen, 6th gen, whatever they have, jets just falling out of the sky. And also one other thing is Trump's lies to his base, to his audience, to America, are so obvious and so it's so impossible to defend now because he said a month ago that he destroyed Iran's air defenses. It doesn't seem that way now, does it? If they're downing jets, that who's downing these jets over Iran if their air defenses are all gone? Doesn't make any sense, and we'll continue to keep seeing that.
BB guns and rocks, Adam. BB guns.
This is BB guns, BB guns and rocks. Exactly, Gary. Yeah. So yeah, that's the only possibility, Gary, because their air defense has been wiped out. Because I trust Trump. I trust the Trump regime. They would never lie to us about how this war's going. So absolutely, it must be BB guns and rocks that are taking down all these jets and all these drones. Because the drones, I don't know how many drones have been taken down now, but it must be over 50 at this point. Advanced drones are very expensive. This is billions of dollars of drones and aircraft that have been completely destroyed or taken down. So if they want to take it into a full-fledged ground invasion and have quote unquote air supremacy over Iran, it's going to become a graveyard graveyard of American aircraft. So yeah, yeah, that's what it is. It's just another sign that the war is not going as Western media and the Trump regime is telling us. And Iran, going right now in the second month of this war, is still capable of both attacking Israel, because Israel's still getting hit and pummeled. And I'm seeing videos of Tel Aviv getting hit with missiles, and literally not a single interceptor is in the sky, not one. Because that shows that they've degraded and destroyed the interceptors of Israel, and the air. It's Israel that has the air defense, that doesn't have any air defense left. Not Iran, in terms of interceptors and early warning detection systems and and radars. So they've been successful in turning Israel into a sitting duck, so their missiles can hit where they please, and they've decided not to, because they don't fight like the Epstein coalition. They don't target water desalination plants and bridges and what have you, despite having their own get hit. So yeah, Israel's the one that's a sitting duck, but Iran has proved once again that into the second month of this war, that the reports of the demise of its air defenses have been grossly exaggerated by a Trump regime. So you can't trust anything that Trump says about Iran's capabilities. Ignore his words and look at the actions here. Now they're hunting for American pilots in Iran, and there's some kind of race. I don't know if they've been found, as conflicting reports, but the fact that there's a mad race on for these pilots. This is true. These jets are getting down. This is today, into the second month of the war, a month after Trump said this should be impossible for Iran to do. So that's where we are in the war. Israel is a sitting duck. Iran still has strong defenses, and America is proving itself to be a terrorist by taking down Iran's largest bridge. We've got the American bombs falling on a civilian target, not a military target, but a civilian target that has nothing to do with military transport or logistics, anything like that. The only goal of it is misery, sadism, destruction, and to force political goals, which is literally the definition of terrorism. Quite literally, the definition of it. And you'll notice that Iran, who are all supposed to believe is the terrorist state, the IRGC is a designated terrorist organization in multiple Western countries, hasn't done anything like this that America has done, that Israel has done. So we should all be thinking about who the terrorists are and how we define it. But yeah, those are my thoughts, Sally, on the Jets being downed. Just another thing to hold against Trump in terms of his lies. Another lie, consistently gets disproven. And tomorrow we'll see more missiles hit Israel, and over the next few weeks we'll continue to see more jets and aircraft and drones get taken down. And that's just the way it's going to go, because this war, Iran has the upper hand. I'll land on this. Iran has the upper hand. It's a massive, massive country. It's bigger than Iraq. It's bigger than Libya. It's bigger than Afghanistan. It's not something you can pacify easily. There are thousands of years of history. Everything is deep, deep underground, where you can't get it. Even your bunker busters can't get to Iran's facilities underground. They tried to take out Yemen. They carpet bombed Yemen for 10 years, and they failed to take out the Houthis. Why? Because they have underground cities. It really is as simple as that. Warfare has changed. The war has changed. You dig an underground city and that's it, because you need to go do a ground invasion to take them out, and bombing. And we still have conflicting reports if America is using standoff munitions, or if they're doing overhead bombing. I doubt they're really doing much overhead bombing, as there is some going on, obviously, but I there's conflicting reports, and I don't think they have total air supremacy. So they're struggling to get that, and even if they did manage to get air supremacy, like I said, everything's underground. So we're 2 months into this war, and we're expected to believe this war is going to end in a few weeks, and they still haven't even established air supremacy. Never mind pacifying the country, where all the critical military assets are far underground. It took, like I said, it took a decade to bomb Yemen and fail to take out the Houthis. and Iran is much stronger, more prepared, more organized than that. So, yeah, there's no, there's just no possibility of this being a win. There's no win here, and these jets being down, just another sign of that. Like hopefully, more and more people can start to realize, something's not right here in the official narrative being pushed by the Trump regime and the Western media. Thanks, Sully.
Well, Adam, there is one win that can be spun from this, and that
Yeah, what's that?
is
Uh huh.
the justification for why Americans need to spend $1.5 trillion a year on military budget, and the justification for why more and more debt should be dumped on the American people. Why, at the same time as having these oil price shocks and inflation, you need to roll over that debt, and you need to make sure all that money goes to Palantir, Lockheed Martin, and you need to integrate some AI into these new drone technologies. So it will be utilized as a sales pitch for why Americans should go deeper in the hole and have more inflation, so that a bunch of companies can end up with all the money.
Absolutely. Yeah, couldn't agree more with that, Simon.
Adam, just to
Yeah,
add
go ahead.
on to your
Mhm.
to your commentary, beyond the money and beyond the, like, I actually think the F-15 being captured or whatever, I'm sad that people are losing their lives, Americans or anyone, quite frankly. I'm not on a team here. This is stupid. Fucking shit show of the century. I mean, seriously, it's such a dumb move here. But I am perplexed at the amount of generals and people that are resigning. Like, to me, that is the biggest indicator this is a shit show. When you have generals who've been around, they know what they're doing. They're not sending their boys to something that, like, how many people have left so far? That is a huge testament that we should not be doing this. If you have generals and other players saying, hey, I'm resigning my service here, I cannot do this. That to me, and the reason I like the F-15 being blown out of the sky is that kind of thing will wake up Americans. And it should wake up Americans, because we're going to lose a lot more here. If you have generals saying we can't win this is so Vietnam-y, it's ridiculous. And I really am absolutely shocked that we're doing this, because to me, we end up in a depression from this. I do not see how this gets reversed in 2026 or 2027. I mean, who's going to surrender here? And quite frankly, until, I don't even know if I can say this publicly, but like, the real enemy is not in this fight. So it is so frustrating here. It's like, this is so unnecessary. You think about the 1.3 trillion, and then the total amount of barrels of oil and the energy on this planet just doubled in price. The amount of money, the hospitals and schools and food that could be created with the money being spent here, like, you could feed the entire planet with this kind of money. Okay, you could have the best hospitals in UBI in every country in the world. This is insane, man.
Gary, why do
Um,
you think WTI is above Brent crude now?
Dude, I got to tell you, 3 days ago I said, wow, the trade to put on is to short West Texas and to buy Brent, and I would have gotten my face ripped off. I don't know what's going on. Like, I've been studying these markets my whole life. I have never, ever seen any of this across every complex. People are talking about, hey, somebody's managing the market. These markets are so large and there's so many of them right now. You're literally saying, okay, the entire system is being managed by one or two people, because this doesn't get orchestrated this way. For the audience that doesn't understand Simon's question, there's usually somewhere between a $8 and $20 delta. A delta is a difference between two things. And it's usually West Texas's price, call it $10 to $12 below Brent. which Brent is a price for North Sea crude oil. Well, today those prices are even. Now, we haven't had any bombs in America. We have not had any disruption. We've had a couple of little refineries have some issues, but we're not having production disrupted. So you wonder, I understand why crude oil went up on West Texas because it's a global product, but I don't understand why they have, come into parity. And the stuff that's priced at, what are the two pricing points? Oman, and there's another pricing point, I think Dubai. I think that may be wrong, actually, but those now are priced below both of those prints, which they were priced at $174 a week ago, 186, I think. So those have come down nearly $100. That's where all the action is, where the production's being constrained, and those prices have fallen now. That doesn't even make sense. It does kind of make sense because you can't get it right, but anyway,
Yeah.
it's I don't know what happens here this week or this weekend, but we're entering like somebody's gonna at some point go, hey, let's just drop a nuke here. I really believe that we have everything set up for, hey, there's no way out of here, and we can't have crude oil at $200 for the next 10 years. So let's just go nuke the whole fucking place, and we'll control everything. Somebody's going to make that pitch. In fact, I would make that pitch if I was in the administration, and we're shit up to our eyeballs in mistakes, and you just go, well, shit, dude, we're in so deep. Let's turn the whole fucking place into glass and take over the planet. There's got to be at least one crazy motherfucker thinking that and pitching the deal. And I think there's more than one crazy guy there and girl.
Gary, just for completeness, what would happen to markets if a nuke was
Sam,
blown up?
can I just quickly read this breaking news and I'll give it straight back to you? Apologies. The White House announced, this is according to some reports, so just take this with a grain of salt, but I'm hearing reports that the White House has announced a media blackout until 1 p.m. Washington time, which is already, isn't it? I don't know. Wait, 1 p.m. Is that till tomorrow then, maybe? Anyway, so the direct meaning of a blackout or a media ban is that the White House has issued instructions to all accredited newspaper reports and news agencies to freeze publishing on a specific issue or ongoing activity until a specific time. The action indicates that the matter is important and something is being executed behind the scenes in order to control the situation and make sure that the information doesn't get out. So the media blackout possibly could be one of two things. It could be about the American hostage, American soldier being taken hostage, or ground invasion. Remember, we were expecting a ground invasion today. That's what I thought that was going to happen. That's what I was getting ready for. I thought it was going to be a long night. That's why I got up late, and then I saw Myron's reply to my message and be like, on the tweet saying, "Oh, where's your space?" And I was like, "Damn, if Myron's on, it must be big news." But we're expecting a long night because we thought there's a ground invasion, but apparently there is a media blackout, possibly for something. Is that for a ground invasion, or is it for an American hostage being taken, or what is it? Some media blackout possibly is ongoing at the moment. Sorry, back to you, Simon. You wanted to round something up, and you can ask Gary something.
Yeah, I was just going to ask Gary's opinion on if a nuke is blown up, say it's either going to be Israel or America. That's not my opinion, but just to work through it. What do you think the market? What do you think the market impact would be?
I've always been surprised that you didn't think this could go there. Like it shocks me that you don't think this can go there because it only takes one party with their back so far up against the wall, they have no other place to go.
Yeah.
And
But
by the
what?
way, it doesn't have to be a nuke, okay? Like the Iranians listed all those bridges. Dude, you get two of those bridges destroyed, two of those major bridges, and people are trapped like rats. Like there's going to be major ships and equipment that can't move. I mean, this is
Yeah.
a shit show, dude. I would rather be on the Iranian side of this fucking conflict. Seriously. I would rather be like people are saying, hey, we're going to run over them. You're not going to run over 90 million people. The fuck are you talking about? Like they have better weapons than Texas. than people in Virginia and Texas, dude. They have automatic weapons, RPGs, old equipment we left behind, and they've had the ability to plan for this for fucking 10 years. I think this is suicide. This is America literally losing its power over nothing. Totally unnecessary.
Yeah, the reason I don't think America would blow a nuke is because I don't believe those in charge want to nuke the markets, which leads to my question. Do you think if America blew a nuke, it nukes all markets globally?
Well, who's in charge of America?
I believe financial institutions. Others believe Israel. So it kind of comes to the answer to that question.
Well, we're just starting to have, it's starting to feel like we're having a lot of factions. When Washington shuts down, Washington, like I haven't heard about a blackout on media in my whole life in America. Maybe I didn't know that it was happening, but I have never heard of what Sully just said. I've never heard that before. I think there's a lot of shit going on here that, um, and over a weekend.
But Gary, just question: if there is a nuke,
I
does that
think it
nuke all
would.
markets, or
I think it would. I think it would. Fuck. If we had a Japan, yes,
yeah,
I think it would.
that's what I've
It
always
would.
thought. Yeah.
Totally, man. Uh, yeah, totally. Because look. I think the question really that the world should be asking is, hey, let's not pretend this is a regional war anymore. This is, in every definition, a world war right now. Like you have countries that are our allies that are saying you can't land on you can't come with your shit over my property. I don't know why aren't we saying this is a World War III? Like we're here, and just that, Simon, just that confront should drive the market down 20%. You don't need the nuke, but we're not in a regional conflict.
Yeah.
Can we agree we are not in a regional? This is well beyond regional.
Well, it's still proxy. But yeah, China and America are in a proxy war. America and Russia are in a proxy war.
Well, and you have France and Italy and every country's flying over to Saudi, flying here, flying there, trying to get trying to get their energy. Every prime minister is flying around saying, "Hey, how can I secure 30-year energy from you? I am willing to betray NATO if I can secure." That's what I'd be doing. Okay, I wouldn't be the guy in the UK. I'd be fucking getting on my knees, sucking some pipes, and figuring out who I'm going to get relatively cheap but safe energy from that I know is going to show up. Like people forget these are major infrastructure plays that you have to build to. I'm like literally we have Germany that's not going to be able to get energy in December. Okay, the UK's paying the highest prices in the free world for electricity. Like I
Break.
don't think people really understand. You're not going to build a fucking Audi car this year, okay, in Germany.
Breaking news! Breaking news! Sorry, Gary. This is
No, that's all right.
confirmation of what what's his name again? What Adam mentioned. Adam, you mentioned this, I believe, when you were giving your news. You said it was unverified. It is now verified by the New York Times. Another fighter jet down. This time, A-10 has been taken down. A fighter jet was taken down exactly at the same time as the okay. I tweeted out twice. Let me just delete that. Okay. Same time, the F-15 was shot down over Iran. Its A-10 Warthog was taken down. A-10 Warthog
So
was taken down as
that's
well.
three of their most favorite weapons. The Warthog, I mean, the military loves. It's a killing machine. Okay, I mean, and for that to get taken out of the sky, I mean, we're losing every basket here. And I actually think I just want to say, as an American, and I'm a really cool American. I love America, but not at the expense of the rest of the world. Um, I am so glad this is happening early on. Maybe we will get some religion this weekend and go, this is a stupid fucking move. And we made a mistake. Let's back out, figure out how to repair the world and say we're sorry. But unless that happens, I don't see any of this getting fixed. And I'm such a positive guy. It's disgusting. I'm saying this, but it's the truth. I'd love somebody to convince me I'm wrong.
Dave, what's your thought on what Gary said?
Well, I was just going to answer back on the nuke thing. In respect of the opinion in Russia, Russia has between 24 and 28% of a Muslim population, which is 100% behind what's happening in Ukraine. You see that with Chechnya, but Putin is walking a very thin line at the moment in Russia because of the Gaza thing. I mean, to say that they're quiet, yes, they are extremely quiet on the topic, which is infuriating a lot of the high positioned Muslims, not only in the government but also in the religion over there. So there's what has been said is that if indeed,
Sorry, Dave,
and
are you saying the Russian government has a lot of Muslims, did you say?
it does have a few,
I didn't know
yes.
that. Really?
It does, yes. Look, there's over 1,000 advisors within the Kremlin, and there's over 390 members of the Duma. You just go have a look and you'll find it yourself. There is a.
But
Look,
David, he's doing the right thing, being silent. What? All his enemies around him are making mistakes. Why would he say anything?
Oh yeah, it's slowly catchy monkey in relation to Russia. I mean, they're over the top in relation to not moving at all. We are hearing, of course, that they are building up for a major push come the summer, just after Victory Day, May the 10th. It does look like the rumors is that there's going to be a big push. Guys are coming back off a contract. They're told to come back by the first week in May, etc., etc. So it does look like it. But I just want to go back in relation to Iraq. 28% of the population of the entire entity that is Russia is of the Muslim faith. Yeah, now there may be different variances from the Burat over in Siberia to the Caucasus, Dagestan, Ingushetia, but they've been very, very vocal on the Gaza thing. And it's not that the Russian Orthodox people are oblivious to Gaza. I mean, it's on the news literally every day, and they haven't quietened it down. The RT, as I said the last time, some of the major channels, they have quieted down on being negative on Trump, and they've asked their presenters to do so because of the way negotiations are going on in Ukraine, which you can understand. But the narrative at the moment isn't that, because this nuclear question has come up in Iran, on the Iran-Israel issue for the last couple of months, last year actually. And I mean, Putin would lose the country. If indeed Israel did something or America did something on Iran at this point in time, Putin would lose the country, because you have almost a quarter of the population would go absolutely bananas, and rightly so. And the rest would do too. So the point is, one of the Duma members, I can get the post. He did it there last December. Yeah, I think it was December. He was going to stand up in the Duma itself and voice this, but he was asked by his party not to, saying that if indeed Israel did hit Israel or Iran with a nuke, like even a high altitude one, just for show, then he would have demanded Putin to Arenchik their ass. Because Russians know every single silo down to the square meter, what it is, where it is, how to decommission it militarily, and he was going to ask for it. So that, and he's Russian Orthodox, so that is there in Russia. He can't be quiet when it would go to that level. I know it's terrible. He has been quiet in relation to Gaza, and for me personally, he said some stupid things like, "Yeah, we have 1.9 million." Russian citizens currently in Israel. We have to watch out for them. We can't go over the top. And at the same time, you can understand he's juggling a ball with Ukraine, because the main protagonist in Ukraine that has killed over 2 million people. I mean, we're only talking, again, I'm not being derogatory or indifferent, but there's over 2 million people dead in Ukraine, whereas there's basically, 3,000 dead in Iran. And if you look at how he's played the game, it's been absolutely perfect, because he's raised the economy, he's co-head of BRICS, and who can not say that the skillful master that has just happened in the Strait of Hormuz, with now Russia dominating it is the number one place in the world in oil. Not only do they have 14 million barrels a day, but they're also helping and advising Iran and everybody else. And you saw MBS yesterday, getting on the phone and begging. I mean, this is the news today, that he didn't get on the phone to ask about the weather. He got on the phone to ask, what can I do? How do I get myself out of this? I'm sorry I didn't come to BRICS in Kazan 24, but I'm back on side now. That's what is being said amongst journalists now in Moscow, that MBS is now back on BRICS side, and he wants to run away from kissing Trump's ass. That has completely destroyed actually all diplomacy. The laughter and the jokes made about that is just brilliant. But yeah, that's just my point. Russia could not stand by if indeed that happened. He would have riots on the street. I mean, you've seen when Ramadan happened, there was 500,000 people of the Islamic faith praying on the streets of Moscow. That would be a bottle he could not screw the top back on again. It would go too bad. And I just leave it at that. That's the only point I was looking to make. Thanks.
Just some more breaking news. As we mentioned, F-15. F-15 fighter jets down now. An A-10 Warthog is down as well. I just want to read this super chat. It is from Hoz. Appreciate your support of the space. A huge super chat. And he says, haha, Donald Trump, Iranian air defense has been fully destroyed. Lol, where is the air defense? I think the Americans are learning quick and fast. The Iron Dome may not exist, but the air defense is full and ready. In addition to that, we have a tweet in the nest. We have an interview. We've got 2 interviews lined up, possibly a third one. I'm just talking to the person. But we have Anthony Aguilera, Lieutenant Colonel Anthony Aguilera at 4 p.m. Eastern, and Marine Matthew, I spelled his name wrong, Ho at 5 p.m. Eastern. That is happening today because they're gonna break it down for us. They're gonna break down the news. They're gonna break down F-15, how it was taken down, the A-10, how it was taken down, the method and mode of the search operation, how a hostage is taken, and actually the real reason I had them on, Matthew, was about the ground invasion. But now we've got this as news and the firing of the entire Pentagon staff. So much news, so much information, and it is not looking good for the United States of America. Complete decimation. Their country is looking weak. No one was okay, that's a thingy. No one was expecting this. Shocking news. A second American aircraft down. Warthog down. And possibly an American hostage has been taken. Possibly a American hostage has been taken as well. Let me give the mic. Let me hear from Hassan or Resistance. Hassan, what's your thoughts on this? American A-10 down, F-15 down, search and rescue, possibly an American hostage.
Hi guys, hope you're all well. Suleiman, thank you for the space again. Great space. Been listening into it for the last hour or so. Look, we were discussing the other day whether the Republic is not going hard enough. I think today we got the answer. It's becoming more and more difficult not to see this as a humiliation ritual on the United States and the genocidal entity. It is becoming apparent that Iran wishes to inflict many, many humiliations. And look, we believe ultimately, Christians, Muslims, they believe in God. We believe that the ones who become so arrogant, so haughty, so, believing themselves to be like God, that God will eventually destroy them and humiliate them. And what we're seeing now is the situation. So the two days ago, Trump came out and said, we have won. Then 2 days later, you have a fighter jet taken out. You have planes going in to try to rescue it and getting hit. You have maybe somebody getting capture a prisoner of war, and then you have more of these jets getting taken out. The humiliations are piling up, and you see by his incoherence that there's clear signs of defeat here. You see by the fact that NATO countries are refusing to get involved, the global economy getting damaged, and maybe this is going to continue to escalate to a World War III situation, because the longer that the strait remains closed, the more and more countries are going to, become desperate, basically. So we have a situation, I think, where the humiliations really are piling up now in America, and the issue is that the more the humiliations they get, the more they're getting drawn into it. Today, when I saw the videos of actual helicopters and planes flying into Iran, I thought, my God, this is clearly where they're getting drawn in. This kind of mission creep that they talk about, where they start off with an air campaign and then it becomes, all right, let's do a bigger air campaign, and let's try and take over an island. Let's send in jets now because we're running out of munitions, standoff munitions. So it's just everything is becoming a complete disaster. This is a complete, terrible show of for America, and quite frankly, the whole kind of superpower status of America now is being decimated in real time. I can't say there's no other way to look at it anymore. Honestly, I don't see how else you can look at it.
Yeah, it's not looking good for the United States of America. This is why every news we were giving you, every information we were giving you was real talk, real information. You got the propaganda Ziospace who literally says open the strait and the war will end. But this is why you get the real news, real information here, because we do give you the accurate information. So when America is in chaos like it is today, when there's a blackout on the news, wait a sec, this is in line with everything we've been hearing for the past 35 days. For others, this is a shock because they're like, oh yeah, we're winning, everything's good, we're destroying them, they've got no air defense, they've got no navy, they've got nothing. It's not looking good for
Thing
anyone.
is,
Resistance, jump in. What's your thoughts?
sorry, before resistance comes in, what I would say as well is that we know that the track record of Iran is that the Islamic Republic, is that it tells the truth, and America is telling lies. We know these things now. And the Republic keeps coming out and saying, we're not interested in negotiations. We don't want an end to this war, or we don't want an end unless it's a complete end to the war. We don't want a ceasefire. And when they say this, it indicates that they are winning and that they're achieving their objectives gradually. This is really serious for America because it wants an exit and it doesn't have an exit. And the other thing is that in the Islamic Republic, I was always worried about these liberals, the Jawad Zarifs, the Rouhanis. These guys, in my view, were a cancer inside the Republic. Until this day, even they're talking about negotiations. But I have really high hope that these now are being marginalized, and we have the people in power. The most crazy thing is that the war is now achieving more for Iran in 30 days than 30 years of strategic patience. The whole strategic patience idea is being decimated because they've got now economic relief. They can sell their oil for 3 times the cost. They have the ability to control up to 25% of the world's energy, and all the materials that come along with it, the fertilizer. They have the ability to decide who gets what energy. They are basically like taking the place of America in the region in terms of, if you are on our side, you get energy. If you're not, you don't get. Tough luck. Like, this is achieving so much economic benefit. There's no point in any sanctions removal. There's no point in negotiating with America. There's nothing to give them because they're taking everything. They're literally taking it themselves. This is like unbelievable. It's unreal when you think about it. That they, with their military victories, they're achieving much more than they would achieve by any kind of negotiation. And this shows the liberals, who were all along fighting for normalization with the people in the West, that there's no point in it. There's no benefit to us whatsoever. Stick with China, stick with Russia, and you will do far better.
I'll just chime in quickly with something which is significant in terms of the numbers of people who are turning against Trump, senior figures, generals. More than 30 generals refused Trump's orders for a ground invasion of Iran. So far, 12 of them have been dismissed, including the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. This is more than I thought, actually. I didn't realize there were so many generals, high-ranking figures. This is basically like an attempted coup, almost, like in terms of mass, like this mass desertion of his authority here, him and Pete Hegseth. This is, things must be going terribly.
A regime change.
Yeah, it's a complete regime change here.
Thanks for that, Adam. Resistance, jump in, give us your thoughts.
Hi guys. Yeah. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So what we're seeing is a rapid deterioration in the side of the United States with all the changes, and you're going to get, in my opinion, you're going to get obviously more compliant generals to the Trump administration, but that could actually accelerate the disintegration of the U.S. military objectives and the U.S. military capability, because they will accelerate. They'll do the things that are militarily unattainable and will cause a lot of destruction, a lot of losses. So this could disintegrate quicker than if the same sort of relatively sane generals, relatively smart generals were in place, and they would be engaging in a sustained, prolonged war of attrition. This time, it looks like these compliant generals probably won't do that. They will agree to the whims of the Trump administration over foolish objectives, and it's playing into the hands of Iran very, very well. I agree with Hassan in the sense that patience now has been superseded by military dominance, which is great. However, it's that patience that Iran has had over the last 35, 40 years of restraint that's allowed it to be in this position, as well as obviously the planning in place. Now, these we're just going to see more and more downed aircrafts, more and more downed helicopters, jets, etc. As we see, as they, like David said, as they lure the US and Israel in, and then they started using some of the air defense systems that they have not by design used early on in the war, and sacrificed for damage early on in order to sort of implement a successful military objective now, whereby they can defeat them as the US and Israel go over Iranian airspace, and then they can be hit one by one, and a lot of the assets will be shot down, and that will that will accelerate some sort of a military victory, and maybe assert their dominance. And I think it will bewilder their allies. It will demoralize their allies, and this is only going to be a good thing, because I think the Gulf countries, they deserve to be slave nations of a moral, just government in the form of the IRGC, in the form of Iran and the IRGC, where they can actually create these laws along with China, Russia, and all the moderate countries of the world. The only thing my only problem is I just don't know what any sort of, if agreement is made, what do the guarantees look like? I still can't figure it out, because even when Israel and the United States, they are at their weakest, how can the international community prevent them from regrouping and trying this on again? This is what I still don't understand. And obviously partly is because we don't know what the situation of the US dollar is, the Western economies are going to be, but I still don't know how can you make sure that Israel never does this again.
You can't. You can't unless you destroy it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the easy
Can
part.
I just jump in with some news really quickly? And I'm going to give the mic right back to you, Resistance, because it's related to what you were saying. Al Jazeera is reporting that Iran rejected a US proposal for a 48-hour ceasefire. Iran has rejected an American proposal for a 48-hour ceasefire. And my first thoughts were, good on them, because he probably would have used the 48 hours to do a ground invasion, because he used the negotiations before to start bombing them, didn't he? But back to you, Resistance.
Yeah, absolutely. No 48 ceasefire is in the Islamic Republic's interest at the moment, because it gives them a chance to regroup. And you don't give your enemy a chance to regroup when you're in the middle of defeating them. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I agree with you, Resistance. Thank you very much for that. My point is, I think you don't want to allow them to do any sort of ground invasion. Again, we don't trust them. Like, you can't trust any word they say. So what does an agreement that's tied by guarantees look like? This is the only stumbling block I have. And anything short of a complete destruction of Israel, and obviously the dismantling of the Israeli government, there has to be some form of agreement tied to guarantees. So I just don't know what that looks like.
Yeah, I agree with Hassan in terms of strategic patience has been proven to be a failure, because you're right. More sanctions have been lifted in less than a month, because they were lifted less than a month into a war, than years and years of deals and negotiations and all this and what have you. It just shows the only language that the Epstein coalition kind of understands there. So I was quite surprised to see that ex-foreign minister write that article saying that they should make a deal, the Epstein coalition, kind of demilitarize themselves in a way, and accept in return, lifting of sanctions. I think Iran can get a better deal than that, and prove to the
If
West,
Iran just doesn't meet with anybody, they'll get
yeah,
anything they want. I wouldn't meet with
yeah,
them
the longer
either.
this goes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah, exactly. They can still show the West, what
They've
happens
made
if
their
we try and
demands.
lift the
Why would
wall.
they meet? Right? They made their
Yeah,
demands,
absolutely.
and their position is you can't win this. And I think they're right. Um,
It's very much a surrender deal, right? That they offer them. You offer them a surrender deal. This is like back in the days when you were fighting a military. One would get defeated, they would have to surrender, right? They would say, "Here's your arms. We surrender. Fine. Let's come to an after that. We'll come to a deal with how we are to leave the area or how we to coexist,
Hassan,
etc."
don't you agree that's impossible here?
Not at all. The only
Oh,
thing
you
that can
think it's
come out of this
possible
is
for one of the?
absolutely is possible.
Oh, really?
Because look at it this way. Look at it this way. The Islamic Republic will not give up. It will not surrender. And I
Yeah, that's
said
what
from the
I don't
start,
think you're. I don't think anyone surrenders here.
no, the entity will have to surrender. The Jewish people cannot tolerate the amount of pain that they're currently tolerating for a long period of time. They just simply cannot do it. I know, I've heard stories of Jews running away in like
Yeah, but
countries
you
where
haven't
there's
done
like
it so
minimal
far.
attack.
Nobody's
They
done it
can't
so
do it.
far, though, man. Like,
Yeah, but look, all they need
Just
to
some
do.
breaking news. Let me just get some breaking news. Just a couple of things. Khaleesi mentioned about the ceasefire. There is reports confirmed now that America begged for a 48-hour ceasefire, and Iran rejected the 48-hour ceasefire. In addition to that, we now have 4 planes that have been taken out in the last 24 hours of the American regime. The first one was F-15. The second one was, and this is not in no particular order, an A-10 crashed in the Strait of Hormuz. F-15 taken out over Iran. Black Hawk helicopter, Black Hawk down. Actually, I put that in my tag, Black Hawk down. Crashed over Iraq after being hit by Iran, and an F-16 also was damaged. This is not working out for the United States of America. In 24 hours, complete obliteration of the forces over the skies of Iran. Air dominance, where this is one day, and within the 24 hours, mass resignations within the Pentagon. We had the Army Chief of Staff retire. This is before these planes were taken down. We had the Army Chief of Staff who retired. That was the biggest news. I was going to be doing interviews on that today, and this became even bigger. But this is Fox claims that Hegseth was purging the Pentagon. He fired over a dozen top generals, including the head of the Navy and the Air Force. He also fired the head of the army chief as well. The U.S. Army general resigned. Well, he was forced to resign, but he basically was fired. So huge news. Chaos in the American Army, American Navy, mass firings, mass resignations, 4 fighter jets down. It's not looking good at all. Sorry, who did I
I
interrupt?
think I was speaking. I was saying.
Yeah,
Oh
go.
yeah. So I was speaking about the surrender deal. I believe that. Well, I'm hopeful. I'm very hopeful that the Islamic Republic has come to the realization that this war has to go on to the very end, the bitter end, and that means one side has to surrender. And obviously, the side of the Republic will never ever surrender, even if they were to all die, which we hope it will never come to anything near that like that. And so the only other alternative is that the colony, the Jewish colony, will collapse, will surrender. And what we have to realize is that there's a media blackout. We're seeing a lot of the strikes on from a distance that are happening, the standoff munitions that are being used, but we're not really seeing what's going on inside the entity. But what we do know is that huge numbers of tanks are being taken out in the north. We do know that there's facilities and munitions and assets being taken out inside the entity, and it's being gradually dismantled, very gradually, very slowly, very methodically. So look, the thing is,
Hassan, did you hear about the Syrian militia coming in from the Golan Heights?
I'm not so convinced by that, to be honest with you, and I don't think it's even needed. Remember, look, Iran has many cards to play still, and it's keeping them close to its chest. One of those is Bab el-Mandeb. One of those is the Ansarullah getting much more involved than they are now. They're very much taking it easy, fire, just kind of slowly getting involved. Everything, but I believe they've got more in the tank. I really believe that. People might be skeptical, but I think it's always wise when you're winning to just keep winning at that pace and not use anything more than what you're currently using. So, I think they've got huge numbers of drones available, huge number of missiles available, other things they can activate. So why, if you're winning, and the thing is, look how they're tripping over themselves. Look at the state of America. Look at the state of the government. You don't need to interrupt your enemy when they're making a mistake. There's, that famous saying: if somebody's constantly incoherent, constantly causing, issues internally, and they're in a state of internal collapse, why would you increase the intensity? I've started to think about it this way. And the other thing is they're achieving military successes, right? These military successes today are massive, and they were coming, and they used them at the right time, I believe. So, look, I think honestly, I'm starting to believe the strategy is working a lot more effectively. Obviously, there's good days and bad days. But
breaking news. Complete. By the way, in the midst of talking about the destruction of the American military, we've actually failed to tell you guys what's happening in the Gulf states. I'm hearing from sources on the ground that Bahrain is being completely obliterated, being bombed continuously and ferociously. In addition to that, we have what's called again, Abu Dhabi has halted operation at the UAE's largest natural gas processing plant after attacks caused a fire. So this is gonna, I presume, impact the market. Major bombing in the UAE. They've now stopped operations at the largest natural gas operation. In addition to that, we also have the Pentagon allegedly has updated Operation Epic Fury on the database as of April. They claim, still obviously we don't believe the 13 dead, but they claim that there are 365 people, 365 casualties amongst the US Air Force, amongst the US military. Army 247, Navy 63, Marines 19, and Air Force 36. Significant, as I mentioned, hits. It's not looking good. There is shambles when it comes to the US administration. Sky News are now also reporting that that the US did beg for a 48-hour ceasefire, and Iran rejected their pleas. The Iranian military has also launched Wave 91 and 92 of True Promise 4. That's the latest news on that. I don't know if did I interrupt someone there?
Yeah, it was myself, but I don't mind someone else speaking.
Yeah,
if jumping in if they want to. I don't want to take up too much time. Go ahead, guys.
Just a quick question. Thanks, Hassan. Just a quick question. What did the Americans? What reason did the Americans give for a 48-hour ceasefire? Curious to know.
No reason given, but they maybe were testing the waters to see if Iran was in a difficult enough state to accept it, or but it's not, and so it doesn't really matter. I think it wants to regroup. It wants to take a breather. Wants to kind of take note of the damages and just kind of re-strategize a bit. When you're in the middle of a losing situation, you have to find a way to recover those losses, and taking a break will always help you in that situation. But obviously, from Iran's perspective, it doesn't make any sense.
It's looking very chaotic on the American side. I mean, all this reshuffling and this purging going on, it's not a good look at all for the Americans. So this perception of superiority has now obviously well and truly been disintegrated. And I think this is probably going to accelerate the fall of the US and Israel side. It could be. I think that's what I think.
So somebody just put an interesting comment. They said fighting to the bitter end and being existential for Israel is a bad strategy because that does bring nukes into the equation. So look, I'm not talking about them. I believe that they could go a lot harder and bring about that situation, but that's why they're deliberately prolonging it. So they want to find a situation where they're not actually causing the mass casualties which would bring about that scenario. So let's say, for example, they in one day killed 1,000 of these settlers, these terrorist settlers that are residing on Palestinian land. If they did that, then that would bring about like a huge response, which would probably be something along the lines of a nuke. So instead of doing that, they're dismantling the state gradually in a way that doesn't bring about that response. That I believe that is a strategy here. It makes sense to do that because you're facing a nuclear threat, unless they themselves declare they've got a nuke, at which point they could probably go harder potentially. So I think that's the clear strategy here.
They definitely need to go harder still. They have been very restrained, but I think they need to increase the gears.
Why? If they're winning, why? Look, they've lost. 2,000 people have lost, and you're fighting two nuclear states with the ability to kill maybe 100, 200,000 if they wanted to in the space of weeks. They know if they go too hard, they're gonna lose more civilians. This is a problem.
Yeah, I'm not saying too hard. I'm saying they need to go harder.
But harder means more civilian loss. That's what I'm saying to you.
Right. Well, that's. I mean, unfortunately, we're in. They are in an existential war here, and they don't want to be dragged into a war of attrition for a very long time, and then it'll be death by 1,000 cuts. They need to increase it a little bit, make it much more uncomfortable.
Why? Because they're winning. If you're in the winning, why would you change strategy? Look, if you're not, you only change strategy if you're not winning.
No.
Sorry, can I just come in there a second? This is exactly the same frustration that we have had for years with Russia. They have the capability, they can go to the next stage and they can completely obliterate Ukraine, exactly the same as Iran. They can go to the next stage and they can literally just, swallow up their targets at will over the course of a week or 2 weeks, but it would cause immense casualties and you would ire. And that was one of the things that was talked about in Russia, that if indeed the Russians were to go too hard, they could bring on NATO much harder and faster than what they could handle. And they were already, dealing with the economy, dealing with BRICS, etc. So it's a slow and easy win. So I just want to go back on one big point that you're talking about. This, I heard the words possible military coup of getting rid of all these generals, etc. You have to understand there's one salient point in relation to the Ministry of Defense, let's just call it in the States, is the size of their officer corps. In World War II, when they had 9 million men, when there were 40% of their economy under war, they had 7 generals, including one admiral of the fleet. Today, they have 45, with less than a third of the amount of men and women currently in uniform. It's a bloated Ministry of Defense, military-industrial complex, money machine. And if you remember last year when Trump and Hegseth called all the generals and top officials from all over the world to a big party where they stood on the podium and acted like idiots in front of them, which incensed a lot of them. It was just literally getting things ready for what's happening. It's the same what happened in Russia when they went from peace to war. There was a big culling of of generational nepotism that was built into the Ministry of Defence there, and you have it as well here. So, I mean, there's no reason to have 44 four-star generals, give or take, in an army that's a third of the size what it was when we had a World War II. And Daniel Davis himself said it when he got the job, provisionally at the time when he got the job of being Tulsi Gabbard's right-hand man, that he was of the opinion that the one thing that needed to be done with the American military is to wean it down about 30 to 40% of its officer corps. There was guys doing jobs that are literally 3 men for the one job, 4 men in cases. I think he said this publicly on his podcast. It was a bloated war machine. It was actually a bloated money machine. We know this. You don't print $30 trillion since 2008 and have your military and the Pentagon not even able to audit where the hell $4.5 trillion went. It's more actually. It's about $7.5 trillion. So I would not be saying that this is a coup or this is a necessity of what's going on in Iran. This is something that was promised last year, and it's something actually that went back to Clinton. The Clinton, whoever, I can't remember the name of the guy saying it, but it goes all the way back to 1997, 98, when they were saying that the war machine was just it was too much caviar and champagne and not enough testosterone. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't agree with that. There's no way that even if this was an attempt, even if this was planned that they wanted to kind of remove some of the fat, there's no way in the middle of a war, right in the midst of it, 35, when you're about to go into a ground invasion, you do something like that, unless
The
things
Russians
are
did it,
going.
Suleiman. The Russians did it, and if you go through history, the
Yeah,
Brits
that's
did
fine.
it
That's
in
fine. That's
Dunkirk.
fine. But even
It's
the
a
Russians, not
standard.
everything. I mean, even with the Russians, not everything went rosy. And with the Americans, things are going wrong. Things are not going well. There is an attempt at a ground invasion right now, and it seems like a lot of these people who were forced to retire either disagreed with the ground invasion, or they didn't agree with the direction of where things are going, and that's why things are happening in the manner that they're happening, and things are not going well. Let's go ahead, resistance.
I do think they need to go into gear 2 because they're in gear 1 right now and they're destroying a bridge. They have to go and destroy 2 or 3 bridges in retaliation, not tit for tat. I think they have to send a message to the US, Israel, and the Gulf countries that if you're going to try and destroy our infrastructure, we'll go hard, and that way it prevents them from doing these sorts of things. And that way it will bring the war to a more sort of defined status and potentially accelerate the war for Iran to reach its objectives quicker, which will save lives in the long run.
Hassan?
Sorry, give me a few minutes, please.
I just want to know how Iran managed to build a new military so quickly, a new army in like 34 days, because Trump had destroyed it on day one. They had not. They've done really well.
Well done, Beatrix. They keep building the missiles every night. So, the Americans destroy all the missiles, and then Iran just builds them every night, new ones. And that's why you see all these missile barrages every day.
They had no army. They had no navy. He destroyed it at least four times in the last 34 days. They had no missiles left. There was complete regime change. Nobody's in charge. Who's calling the shots? Like, what's going on? Chaos. I don't know what. I don't know. Trump's destroyed it, but they didn't do a very good job destroying it. What's going on? So confusing.
Very confusing. And let me just give you some more news, some more breaking news. Iranian Speaker of Parliament, remember Ghalibaf, he came out and he said this: after defeating Iran 37 times in a row, this brilliant no strategy war they have started has now been downgraded from regime change to, hey, can anyone find our pilots, please? Can anyone find our pilots? Please. Wow, what an incredible progress. Absolute geniuses. Let me repeat that again. You said after defeating Iran 37 times in a row, this brilliant, and he's talking about Trump saying it 37 times, this brilliant no strategy war they have started has now been downgraded from a regime change to, hey, can anyone find our pilots? Please. Wow, what incredible progress. Absolute geniuses. I love that. Content. They're just giving us content for sure. Let's go to Hussein. Hussein, what's your thoughts on this? I mean, give us your heartfelt thoughts about what's going on.
Yeah, hastily. I mean, look, the downed aircrafts is crazy, and you know, I kind of had a feeling that Iran was going to kind of keep their more advanced weaponry until it got more serious and more escalatory, which makes sense, to be honest. I don't see why they wouldn't do that. But what's happening right now? So, for example, if they actually did capture a POW, I mean, that's going to be a big blow to the West because what Israel and the West hate more than anything is having to negotiate for POWs, not because they care about them per se, but because they just don't want to have to give up anything in return. We saw it with the Israelis where they tried to kill their own, so they didn't want to have to negotiate and just mask it under the fact that it was the resistance who did it. When we know they bombed half their hostages and killed half of them during the Gaza genocide. And a little
Boys, oh my God, sorry Hussein, I'm interrupting you. Am I living in bizarro world? I don't know what's going on, boys. I literally do not know what's going on. This is craziness. Absolute mayhem. Trump losing it. So Trump just tweeted this out on Truth Social. If anyone can analyze and articulate, he's wrote, keep the oil. Anyone? What does that even mean? I'm not joking, bloods. Is he begging? Gary, is your boy begging?
What did he say?
Literally, these words, it makes no sense. I'm just going to read it exactly. He wrote, keep the oil, comma, anyone, question mark. You can see it in my page. Let me put it in the next. I don't get what's going on with this man. This is craziness. Blood, where are we at? Where are we at? Look at the tweet. I just don't get it. Can someone translate? Is he basically saying to Iran, keep the oil? Anyone? Please. Give me my pilot back.
There's no way any of us have enough cojones to say anything because it's too beyond bizarre, Salib, and it's crazy.
It makes no sense. I don't even get it. Is he begging? No, I'm asking like, what's going on? Is he begging? Is he pleading for a ceasefire? Is he saying, Iran, you can now keep the oil? What is he saying? What is he saying? Anybody explain it, someone to me. He literally said, keep the oil. Anyone? Actually, let me change the arrow.
Gary?
Can anybody imagine
Right.
what a ground invasion would look like? This is like this, unbelievable.
Someone needs to take his phone away.
No, I like it. No
I'm
way,
just
bro.
trying.
Why
I'm
would you
just
keep his
trying to
phone? What are you
look.
talking about?
I'm just trying to
We're
find.
getting real news.
Gary Cardone needs to step up to the plate and give us an answer. Gary,
Well,
what is
Gary, what's he saying? You're the oil
with a
man.
little. Well, let's just see what he wrote. I'm trying to because I can't see. I haven't yet found this thing.
I've put it in the nest and I've tweeted it out. He's basically wrote, no joke, this is what he wrote, capitals. Keep the oil. Anyone?
I mean, I have no idea what that means. Take the oil. With a little more time, we can easily open them. I take the oil and make a fortune. It would be a gusher for the world. This was at 8 a.m. on the 2nd. And then you're saying he said, I don't know why I can't see that in the nest. Can other people see it?
Yeah, it's in the nest, but it's on my page as well. It's the last post.
Oh, let me look. I mean, if that's exactly what he said, I think he's basically saying, hey, I don't give a fuck about your crude oil. Isn't that what he's saying?
I don't know. He's
Keep
just
the
like,
oil.
keep the
Anyone? Man, I have no
anyone.
idea what that means. Okay, that's what David Bailey does in response to crushing, not knowing what to do with his company. This is not a good look.
Keep the
Keep the
oil.
oil.
Anyone?
Anyone? That's why I think this escalates. I don't think this just goes away. And not negotiating with him will be the absolute way to handle it. Like it will drive them nuts. I've never understood why so many regimes spend so much time negotiating. Actually, I'm like, why are you guys doing that? I mean, you're just getting played. Shit show of
Oh
the century,
my,
Andrew. Shit show
Gary,
of the
hey,
century, my friend.
oh
hey,
my
Gary,
God.
hey, Gary, just so what I think what Gary's saying here, Gary. So you're saying if the more that Iran just keeps quiet or just keeps playing him along, you let him hang himself as he goes more into his crazy stuff.
Dude,
Is that
like
what you're saying?
why am I going to come out of my yard and strike you? Okay, I have everything in my yard. You're on the outside of my gate. You're threatening me. All right, bro, let's roll. Come on in. I'm just gonna be making coffee and protecting my resources
Yeah, yeah,
while you stumble over your dick. And
yeah.
yes, I'm not going to let you in to delay for 48 hours so the CIA can get you guys, all squared away. Fuck that, dude. I mean, I like at this point now it's war. You got to think about what the other guy's going to do. This is war, man. This is World War III, folks. I keep saying that. I don't know. No one wants to confront that, but this is not regional. What region is not included?
Yeah.
Okay. What region is not included other than Switzerland? Again. But is there anybody not being impacted seriously and having to pick sides here?
Nope.
Exactly. World War.
Suleiman, he's saying keep the oil, as in I'm I'm suggesting to keep the oil. Anyone support me? Like that's what he's saying. And you
I
can
get
see
it.
it
What
by
do
the
you mean?
and you
Who
can
to
see it by the
keep?
comments.
He means
Who
take
to
the
keep?
oil, dude. This is my point. Hey, just
Yeah,
take it all,
exactly.
bro. And the pitch will be, look, we're at $186 crude oil. This is what happens when you don't have a captain. Okay, we're here because the ragheads. No offense, guys, but you know what I'm saying. I mean, that's going to be their pitch to the world.
No, but what I'm just trying to understand, is he saying to Iran, you keep the oil? Or is he
No,
saying,
he's
I want to
saying
keep the oil?
he's asking his
Yeah,
base, should I
exactly.
keep the
Yeah.
oil? Yeah.
Which oil?
Well, is he going to keep? Is he going
Iranian
to keep
oil.
Venezuela? It's basically Venezuela play, man.
So he's saying he wants to take the Iranian oil and keep it. And then he's saying, keep the Iranian oil, anyone. But why is he saying anyone?
It's
He's asking anyone to support, anyone with me, basically.
That's how
Yeah,
I
but
interpreted it, the way that Joe said it. What he's saying is, if you think about what the media is going to be reporting today, it's going to be reporting this disaster that's happening. And so to keep his cult base with him, he's trying to tell them it's about the oil and, keep the oil. Anyone? Like, I'm doing this all for the oil. We're going to get lots of oil on the back of this, guys. Lots and lots of oil. That's how I interpreted it. But he's crazy
I the
anyway,
way
so
the
who
way
knows?
I interpret it is this: him begging to stop. He's like, Iran, stop taking all our fighter jets down. You've took down an F-15. You've took down an A-10. You've took down an F-16. You've took down a Black Hawk. Black Hawk down.
No, I
Please
think everyone's right. He's
keep.
trying to divert.
I
Look,
know that. Oh my God, Hassan, why you interrupting me? I was literally just making a joke. But go ahead now. You've done that quite a few times. It's really annoying.
sorry, man. Sorry. My sincere apologies, dear Suleiman.
Yeah, it's just obviously I know what it is.
Please
It's meant
forgive
to
me.
be. It was meant to be a joke. That's it. But you just kind of killed it. Okay, go ahead, Beatrix. Back to you.
Somebody's asking on the YouTube that is there a translator for Trump? Can somebody translate for him? This is crazy. Complete ownership of their airspace. Complete ownership. You know what? I'm going to say something that's going to be uncomfortable, but there's all these rescue missions going on for one pilot. And if America or Trump's administration, I should say, was really concerned about that one pilot, why are they even considering sending boots on the ground? Why? What do you think is going to happen to all of
I'll
those
tell you
people
why.
that are
I'll
How are
tell you
you
going?
going
why.
to rescue the pilot?
I'll tell you why,
If you don't
Beatrix.
put,
Listen, the Strait of Hormuz being controlled by Iran is such a serious matter for the current world order that they're going to go ballistic and crazy and saying if it isn't stopped, they have to find a way to stop it. It's such a catastrophic strategic problem for them that they're willing to throw everything at the kitchen sink. They cannot tolerate it, they cannot accept it, and they cannot negotiate about it. It's doomed for them. 25%, 25% of the world's energy, from 4% up to 25%. It's become 5 times as powerful in terms of its global control over energy. This is so catastrophic strategically. Do you understand that they will not accept it and they have to try and throw everything out to stop it? It's very simple.
I agree with that. I don't think it's complicated at all. It's a game. Like a game of chicken that's gone on too far.
You will see a coalition forming in a month if this isn't resolved, because they'll be so desperate. America will say either you come and join us or this whole world order collapses. At that point, you might see UK, France, South America, Australia, everyone come and try and fight to keep the Strait of Hormuz open, because for them, this is like, I can't even put it into words how serious this matter is. It's like the country you're trying to destroy has turned around and flipped the whole script, and now it owns you. It's too much to bear.
Hassan, can I give you an alternative? Is do what
Right.
France did, right? The European leaders have known, and some of them are vocal about it, some of them are not, that they have been being attacked by America for years now, right? The British pound currency manipulation that happened, attacking the pipeline, raising interest rates while asking Europe to keep down their interest rates, which just simply exports American inflation. Multiple leaders know it. Multiple leaders are looking for a way out, not looking at U.S. as a friend anymore. You see France now getting a ship through. European leaders have a choice. They either stay with the West or they negotiate and get their ships through. And one of them is a hell of a lot cheaper than the other. They need to make a decision who to stand with. The problem will be what happens to the European Union if they don't all decide to go in the same direction. And if Germany doesn't decide to go with France, we have a problem. And I don't think Germany will decide to go with France. And that's where the rift comes in.
So you've got to realize that, yeah, like you're saying, Iran is giving all these countries really difficult choices of who to side with, who to negotiate with. Before they put sanctions on behalf of America on Iran just a few months ago. And ironically, and this is where I believe, people who believe in God have to see the poetic justice in this. Iran now turns around to the EU and says, "We'll do a deal with you if you want. If you want, otherwise go away." It's turned it from they're going to have to come to Iran and beg for a deal now, and rather than being demanding, putting sanctions on it. So it cannot be that America allows Iran to come and cause this kind of destruction to the world order, where countries are pushed into one camp or another. They have to make difficult choices over their economy or siding with America. Over do they, use their security, America's security, or their security? Like, this is like catastrophic for the American empire. Do you understand what I mean? It's catastrophic. This is like someone coming and saying, "I'm going to destroy your empire, and if you have to submit to my demands." This is basically what Iran is telling America.
I'm aware. I'm the one who's been saying this is a currency war from the very beginning, and that's all this is about, right? And Iran is the first player to ever have the power to push back on it and actually realize what it is, right? So it just so happens that their most strategic asset, which is the Hormuz, also impacts that dollar, which is also what the U.S. is fighting for and has done 15 times since 1977, where we enter a country and we're doing so because they want to trade off the dollar or they want to nationalize their resource and take it away from an American company who took it by force due to regime change. So, they're in a unique position. Now, Europe needs to understand that they've also been a victim of this play with the petrodollar. And basically, America raises and prints more money, then raises interest rates, exports the inflation to Europeans. Europeans wind up paying for the inflation rate while Americans get more money and higher salaries, but the Europeans are the ones paying the price for it. So, I think a lot of Europe has woken up to that, and Trump kind of made it obvious when he starts to do tariffs and things like that. I think they're like, okay, enough. So we'll see how they go. The only real person in play is Germany. If Germany does not side with the rest of Europe, Europe's going to have a serious issue. If they do decide to go with the rest of Europe, Europe will start looking towards the east, not the west anymore. And then America will no longer be an empire, because those are America's allies. Once the allies go, there is no empire.
Do you understand now, Beatrix?
That's why I have an eye on Germany. Germany right now is like what do you call it? Like Ohio in elections.
Beatrix,
They will decide the future of the American empire.
You see, Beatrix, why they have to go in with ground troops, because otherwise, what they're accepting would be like their end, basically.
I just think it's crazy. I think it's crazy. Send the freaking Israelis, isn't it? Send their troops. It's their war. Tell them to go fight it. This is madness.
But now the strait's closed. It's everyone's war. This is a problem. It's America's war more than it is Israel's. Now the strait's closed.
But yeah, but you know what? Okay, so let's have a look at this, right? Literally, Turkey charges if you go through the waters near them, the toll. Egypt just does the same. Greece does the same. It's only Iran that never did. So if Iran wants to, then goddamn pay up. Otherwise, don't use the strait. It's as simple as that.
It's not as simple as that. No,
it's not the price, Beatrix, because it's not that expensive. It's 2% of cargo, 1% of cargo. It's not that bad. That's not the issue. It's everything else along with it. Getting rid of the Israeli embassy, taking out American bases, not allowing them to use your airspace. That's a big deal. It's not the fee.
It's not just that. It's the control of the energy supply and the materials which are needed for food, for the fertilizer, and the components for even other weapons and other goods. There's so much that comes out of the strait that's critical. I mean, when you're talking 20-25% of global energy and gas, and oil, you're talking about the ability to control the world economy, decide whether it collapses or it succeeds. It's that kind of control that you now have. It's not just simply a pass through where you have another route. It's actually coming out of this area. It's not, and there's no other route for it either. So,
but Hassan, the Suez is the same thing though, and no one has a problem paying a fee.
Just before Hassan goes, guys, just to let you know, what was it I was gonna say? Oh, okay. Listen, if you're on the YouTube channel, make sure you've got your settings on where you're able to be redirected from one channel to the other. We will be redirecting people from this channel to the other channel for the 2 interviews we've got. We've got Lieutenant Colonel Anthony Aguilera coming on and Marine Matthew Hall coming on. So we will be moving to that channel in about 10 minutes. So make sure A, you're following that channel, that Tweets in the Nest. B, make sure you got your redirect on if you're on the YouTube, because we will be watching that. Everybody who's on the X Space and you want to see the actual video, that will be there on the Tweet in the Nest. Well, if you click on the Tweet in the Nest, it'll go to the channel, but I'll put the tweet out in a second. But yeah, we're going to be moving across there for the interview. I think we've got like nearly 900 people on the YouTube, but yeah, we'll be moving across there. So everyone, make sure you do it. Very important interview. 2 very important interviews in my view. So make sure you click on the Tweet in the Nest and follow that channel and subscribe to it and put your notifications on. And the link for the actual interview is in the YouTube comments, and I'm going to put it in the X comments in about 5-10 minutes. I just need to put the tweet out, but I just need to get ready. So back to you. Sorry, Hassan. Go ahead.
Yeah. So obviously with this Suez Canal, you have the ability to go around it, like in case of emergency. And the second thing is you've got a country like Iran, which is now able to is using it because of it's a sovereign country, using it for political purposes and to effectively collapse the dollar. I don't think it would be the same thing with the Suez, or would it? I mean, I'm not sure, but it's using it to divide. It's using it to basically strangle at the moment the global economy as a response to the aggression against it. So it's willing to do that, and it's willing to take the hit for it. I don't think there's many countries that would stand there and say, "Okay, I'm going to close this," and then someone comes and bomb them, and they say, "Okay, sorry." The Republic is willing to take all the pain necessary to achieve its objectives, and then puts it in a very unique situation.
I've lost count of the number of aircraft hit today, but this is breaking news, and it says 2 U.S. rescue helicopters involved in the F-15 search and rescue efforts were struck by Iranian fire. I'm seeing this everywhere. I'm seeing this everywhere.
Yeah,
Dominating their airspace.
Yes, when I contacted just this morning, I was having breakfast with a retired Air Force. He was 25 years. He was in that line of work. The coincidence just astounds me. Of all, can you believe this? And when I called him and spoke with him, he said, please don't get me wrong. He does listen to the space. He checks in. He's so thankful that Suleiman and Beatrice, you and all the panel, he said he's learning so much. The world needs to hear this, and he's thankful for it. But he said he feels he really cannot, because of very sensitive information, he would not feel comfortable coming on and sharing procedures. But know this, and he said, absolutely, without air superiority, it's insane. We're now in a very, very dangerous position. He's shocked. He's beyond. He literally is. He says, "I have no words. I just have, and I don't have words. No military person with any experience. We don't have words for this. This is so far beyond the most surreal. That's turned into the impossible. That's turned into a nightmare. And I can't stress that enough." Not only with air superiority, the Marine Corps doctrine falls apart for insertion ashore. Naval doctrine to support, that's NGF, that's naval gunfire support, does not support that for any assault, military assault. For naval blockading for setting up blocking and checking traffic to set up a blockage, or let's say for interdiction, doesn't make sense. And for our forces, as Larry Johnson, and folks, please tell me that you listeners, make sure you're watching Suleiman's interviews. Watch him, stream them. Larry Johnson laid this out very, very clearly in the interview that Suleiman had with him yesterday. Without he's shocked. No one has words for this. And I think we're still going to see more senior officers and military officers say they resign, because they have to face this. There's a moral dilemma here. There's a moral dilemma here. If they follow on with this, they can't come along and say, well, I was just following orders. And don't get me wrong, I respect and love Puncher. Yeah, he was a fighter pilot. Yeah, I love those guys. I love how they operate. But to say that General Raising Cane is following orders, no, that doesn't get it. And I'm going to say this, that when General Kane, remember this, he was pulled out of retirement. The whole thing is Trump knew that he had to have a lapdog. You have to have a lapdog that follows orders obediently. And every time I look at Kane's body language when he's in those briefings with Hegseth, the little corporal, you can see he's like a beaten dog that sold his soul. And Hegseth has this pride that comes before the fall. Look, I've documented this. This is unprecedented. And America is now in derision with National Zionist Israel. They are in open shame. And I agree with what Gary was saying. This is going to get worse. This is going to be global. And I also understand, Simons, the deals are being worked, but as we get deeper and deeper into this deal is going to really be something that maybe even will be out of that control. So then I have to go back to the eschatological end time stuff, and I'm not going there. I don't have the liberty to talk about it in this space, but this is really getting into apocalypse crazy stuff when we look at the big future stuff.
Thanks, Andrew. Let me just give some breaking news. Trump says that the downed US jet won't affect Iran talks. He said, no, not at all. We're in war. And NBC reported that, and that's on Suleiman's page. And I would say that's the first time he's actually said we're in war, because he previously said, oh, if I'd said war, I'd have to go to Congress. Therefore, I say it's a military operation. Also, Plex us on YouTube, Plex USS on YouTube. You asked a question. So the interviews that Suleiman does, before we used to do them on the space, but then afterwards, this space is going to go on for 12, 15, 18 hours. And before there were 24-hour spaces. So it was really hard for people to go back and listen to just the interview. And each of these interviews, we're very, very fortunate to have the guests that we do have, and that's Suleiman Books, which is why he does them on YouTube. And plus, it would not be fair for the people on the space to not be able to hear the real knowledge that is being shared in these interviews. If the space continues, what you're assuming is I'm going to continue the space while Suleiman goes and does an interview, but I want to hear the interview myself, as does everybody on the space. So that's why we do it. I'm giving you an explanation, even though this is breaking news hour. We shouldn't really have to give an explanation, especially to people, you know, who just randomly come into YouTube to chat. This is hard work, and we're doing it voluntarily to make sure the truth gets out there. So I hope that answers your question. Anyway, looking forward to the interview. Let me just give some more breaking news. We've got footage now showing Iranian police opening fire on the Black Hawks as they flew low altitude searching for downed pilots. So we've got that footage. Macron visited South Korea, and he's called for the formation of a coalition of independence to counter the what he calls unpredictability of the US. He's calling America unpredictable. Like, I never thought I'd see these European nations turn against America the way that they have, apart from Keir Starmer, of course. He's going to be a poodle for life, of course. I'm seeing if there's any other news really quickly. 3 massive explosions in Tehran just now. 3 massive explosions in Tehran just now. We're going to keep you updated, guys, on the... We're going to have Lieutenant Colonel Anthony Aguilera on any second now. Guys, on YouTube, please go over to the YouTube channel. If you're listening to the space, please go over to that YouTube channel. That's where we're going to listen to the interview of Colonel Anthony Aguilera. Make sure you like the stream. We're all going over there now. It's going to be fire. And he's going to cover everything. Ground troops. He's going to cover the ground invasion. He's going to cover what's happened today. He's going to cover the resignations that happened yesterday. It's been an absolute heavy 24 hours. It's not even been 24 hours of news. Let's just make sure everyone crosses over. Yeah, he's a gay poodle. Aaron Johnston's calling Keir Starmer not just a poodle, but a gay poodle. He is a gay poodle. He is a gay poodle. Anthony Aguilera. Sorry, Musti, not Aguilera. Anthony Aguilera. We're going over there in 30 seconds, guys, from YouTube. Make sure you go over to that channel.
Yeah, I'll direct it in a couple of minutes. I'm a bit behind. I'm just trying to get a couple of things sorted. But we'll be moving across a few seconds. But what's the latest breaking news for the audience while we're setting up?
The latest breaking news is so Iran's IRGC Aerospace Force Commander General Sayed Majid Musavi had an X account on here, right? This is their Aerospace Force Commander, and Elon Musk suspended the account. He suspended the Iranian Aerospace Force Commander's X account, just like that, so that they can't tweet and give us the real news. Censorship real time. Let's have a look. You know, there's so much news coming out about helicopters and planes here. I can't keep up with which one's been hit and which one's being hit now. It's like there's so much stuff coming out on that. Let me just go to some other news. I'll leave all the military stuff to you and Anthony Aguilera. So this I've seen reported from a few different places. Wall Street Journal's reporting it as well, that Qatar is resisting pressure from America and the regional allies to take the lead role in brokering a ceasefire between America and Iran, preferring not to be the principal mediator in stalled talks, even as efforts by Pakistan, Turkey, and Egypt continue. Remember, Qatar did have a really important role in that before. I'm suspecting, this is my opinion, that Qatar probably doesn't want to get involved in this because Qatar realizes that fricking America is going to do nothing without Israel, and Qatar will not align itself with Israel. So there's that as breaking news.
There's also a rescue helicopter carrying a recovered pilot was hit by a small arms fire. It injured the crew members on board, but despite the damage, it still landed safely.
Yeah, that's one of the ones from before, Maze. That's why I said it's hard for me to keep up. There's a whole list of them. Suleiman's posted them. There's about 4 or 5 between helicopters and aircrafts and everything. Since this morning, there's been 4 or 5 that have been hit. And there's like all these different names to that. I don't know, I'm not. So just like, okay, there's a list of them. I'll read the list out just to get everybody up to date. But this is interesting. I don't know what this is related to. I suspect it might be related to plans with Russia, but Germany has said that all men aged 17 to 45 have to now obtain permission to leave Germany for more than 3 months. Whether they're studying abroad, whether they're working, or whether they're traveling, they can now not leave Germany for more than 3 months. And this is now on a permanent basis. Permanent, not specific for anything going on right now. You cannot even leave your country for more than 3 months.
So guys, just to let you know, on the YouTube, I'm about to end the stream on this one. Everyone come across. We've got nearly 1,000 people on there, so please